downtown Baltimore, Maryland, and one of the most recognizable venues in all of sports, Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins, and as you can see behind me, the stands are empty. The Orioles are out of town, but there are lots of fans on the outside, and they're here to see the world's fastest drivers. Never has this city seen anything like they're about to see. Drivers competing on city streets at over 160 miles an hour. Welcome to the inaugural Baltimore Grand Prix, and for a closer look at the venue itself, here's Jan Bigas.
And Bob, you start a lap here in Baltimore on Pratt Street. Pratt Street, this straightaway is over a half-mile long, so you'll be flying by the time you come down to turn number 1. And you can see plenty of room. On starts and restarts, maybe 2, 3, 4 wide. But then you have the problem here in turn number 1. When you're 4 wide, you need to get down to a single racing line to slice through here. Sure, there's enough room for 1 or 2 cars, but there's one preferred line. Look for bottlenecks in turn 1. Lindy?
Of course, when designing a course here in Baltimore, you want to include the inner harbor. And as the drivers come down Light Street here, that's exactly what they have on their left. And then they hit turn 3, a 180-degree hairpin, another good passing zone. Wally?
Conway Street is just to the right of the TV compound. Off the Light Street, it's a slight uphill along Conway with Camden Yards in its sights. There's a series of 3 tight turns at the end of Conway that could be tricky. One small mistake, you could be in the barrier, Marty. Back to you where it's sunny.
Well, Wally, once you're done negotiating the course, you have to negotiate pit road, and it's one of the coolest all year long. The wall behind me we just showed is the right field fence at Camden Yards where the Baltimore Orioles play, but pit road is very challenging. It's a hard left-hand hairpin to get onto pit road, some of the smallest pit stalls we have all year long, but the exit could prove to be the most interesting point all day long. It's a hard right-hander and a very quick merge into traffic. That could play a factor in the race. Once you leave pit road, you pass Camden Yards on 3 sides on your right, and the drivers will pass where the Ravens play football on their left before a beautiful drive through downtown Baltimore. And the one thing, Kevin, all the drivers say, the way out, very beautiful and way cool.
All right, thank you, Marty, and welcome to IndyCar Central, presented by Verizon on Versus. A look at Baltimore's inner harbor. It leads out to the Chesapeake Bay, and we are excited about what we're going to see coming up in about 45 minutes. Our stage is right here in front of the inner harbor. The racetrack is right in front of us, and it looks like it's going to be a good day. It's an interesting and very challenging racetrack as well, and it is packed with fans. Here on our stage, we welcome Sebastian Bourdais with Dale Coyne Racing in the Boy Scouts of America car. He's going to start a season best 5th today, and it's been a good run for you. 6th, a finishing place in 3 of the last 4, 9th in the other. It's obviously coming together. What's been the difference lately?
Well, it took us some time to get it figured out. We got some help from an engineer, Neil Fife, coming as a consultant, and that really helped us to get the understanding of the car. And you know, it's just it's tough. That's it. Really, the field is pretty dense, and you got to get all your stuff together. You've always been great on temporary street courses. What's the key in those kind of situations? Why have you excelled there? What do you need to do? Well, really, I think, you know, when you look back, we really had a strong performance with Newman Haas when I was back there, and it didn't really matter where it was a street course or road course, but it's true that when you got the car and the confidence and the comfort level in these kind of places, which you need to brake late, you know, and be committed, you go fast, and that's how it goes. You knew coming into this season it was going to be a work in progress. You didn't really expect to be able to compete for wins early, and unfortunately you did not. But since you came back from Europe after Indianapolis, you've been running at the front. Has this gone well enough to make you think, I want to do this full time next year and do the ovals as well? I don't really think I need, you know, I needed that to make up my mind. That's always what I've wanted to do. I mean, I went to Formula 1 because it was the right thing to do. I had to try it. Now it didn't work out, and open wheel is just a lot more fun than anything else. And if I got a good shot at this, for sure I'll be back, but it needs to be right. All right, thank you for coming over today. Good luck. Thanks. Sebastian Bourdais has won 31 times in IndyCar racing. He's a 4-time Champ Car champion. Let's check in now with Lindy Thaxton.
Actually, I'll take it from here, and we'll talk to Graham Rahal, who's going to start on the front row today. Best start of the year for you, Graham. Is this your best chance to win of the season?
Yeah, I mean, this is certainly a great opportunity for us. You know, the Service Central car starting up front. I mean, certainly I feel like New Hampshire's the one that got away from us. But, you know, you move on, and here we are. We've got a great opportunity here in Baltimore, and the Service Central car has been fantastic all weekend. I mean, it's tough. It's competitive. You know, we thought we had the pole yesterday. Will pulls one out. But, you know, we've got Dario right behind us and Briscoe. So it's going to be a hard-fought race.
You love to attack a street course. It's your nature. It's always been the way you've driven. But today, because this place is so tricky, you have to back that down a little bit.
I mean, you have to be careful because, you know, as everybody watching will see, you know, when you go down Pratt Street, which is the front straightaway here, it is bumpy as anything we'll race at all year. So you've got to be careful. It's so easy to make mistakes. And, you know, certainly, though, I'm in a position where, you know, obviously we need to finish, but we also want to win a race. So we've got a great opportunity ahead of us today.
All right, real quick, who lifts first going into turn one, you or Will?
Well, I'm on the good side of the track. He picked the inside, but I'm where everybody else has run all weekend. So I'm going to drive him in there as deep as I can, and we'll see what happens.
We will start drivers left when we take the green flag. Let's head over to Lindy Thaxton.
Ryan Hunter-Ray is starting 6th, and you said yesterday that's as good as it was going to get. You made changes overnight with the yellows in the morning warm-up. Couldn't really try them. Are you nervous?
Boy, if that morning warm-up was any indication of what we have coming this afternoon, it's going to be an interesting one. Glad to see Tony and Elio were all right after that, but wow, this might be a crazy one in turn one. So we have a great car. We just need to go out there and race it like a street circuit, you know. We need to take our chances when we can, but we need to really all be very cooperative today to get through this thing. We have a great crowd, as you can see here. It's a really big hit for a first race, a big first event for us. So hopefully we'll be back here for years to come, and it's a beautiful day in Baltimore. It'll be a good one to win.
And listening to you on the radio all weekend, you're constantly, where am I at in this turn? How many tenths can I get here and there? Where do you think is your weak spot in this track?
Well, in street circuits, you're always trying to make the car better, but you got to get it out of yourself. I mean, it's one of those deals where you get through a corner, you think you're already there, you think you've maxed it out, and there's still another 2 tenths to get out of yourself. So I'm not only working on making myself better out there, always digging deeper, but we're also working on the car's balance. So it's ever progressing. You need to leave no stone unturned. So it's a lot of work at a place like this.
Kevin Ryan sits 8th in points.
All right, thank you, Lindy. We've got people all over downtown Baltimore, and they have found many places to watch this race. Some from high above that have snuck a free look at the race, but there are no tickets to be had. Every grandstand seat is filled today, or is expected to be. About 75,000 might be our capacity for this first-time street event. The city's done a fantastic job of getting everything ready, and they've had a lot to deal with. Keep in mind, just over a week ago, this area suffered through an earthquake and a hurricane just days apart. Well, this is not the first open-wheel race in Maryland. Laurel Speedway was a wooden bank track, and in 1925, Indianapolis 500 winner Pete DiPaolo came here weeks after winning the world's most famous race, and he also won at Laurel. But when it comes to Baltimore sports history, one of the most memorable moments came on September 6th of 1995 when Cal Ripken Jr. broke Lou Gehrig's record for consecutive games played with 2,131, and Tuesday is the 16th anniversary of that night. Stay with us, plenty more to come here on Versus as we get set for the inaugural Baltimore Grand Prix. Another look at the inner harbor of Baltimore, literally yards away from this temporary street course. Down the streets of Baltimore, the inaugural Baltimore Grand Prix for the IZOD IndyCar Series. And fans have been piling in here all weekend, including at the IZOD Fan Village, which is right beyond right field of Camden Yards. There's been plenty to do. There's an opportunity to drive the simulators, autograph sessions, and a lot of interesting things and a great experience here this weekend on the streets of Baltimore. Well, last week at Infineon Raceway near San Francisco, Will Power came into the weekend after chipping into Dario Franchitti's championship lead at New Hampshire. But there was still a considerable gap, so he needed a win and some help from his teammates, who are also trying to get to victory lane, or at least hold off the Ganassis for their teammates.
We've got a car that's better than the Ganassi guys. I've got my two teammates between myself and Dario at the moment. If we can finish the way we start, that'll be a perfect day.
We are underway Raceway, Sonoma.
I think there's a lot of cooperation between teammates on that start.
Power has a 1.3-second advantage on Elio and has about a 2.5-second advantage on his other teammate, Ryan Briscoe.
You're the fastest car on the track.
Castroneves looking for a win. He has not won yet this season.
Will Power, leader of the race, in for his first pit stop.
Up further pit road is Dario Franchitti. You see him come to a stop.
Here comes Will Power exiting pit lane.
Elio's coming.
Power swings it wide. Elio all over him. There's not enough room to try to make a pass here.
Holding off is the Verizon machine of Will Power.
Briscoe now has to try and keep Dario back.
Here's your overtake. On a 10 quicker than Franchitti every lap.
It has been the Will Power show since the drop of the green flag.
Full course yellow, turn 9.
Castroneves is around 2 teammates.
1, 2, 3, Will, Ryan.
Will's going to get the advantage.
Take care, bud. Take your flag. Oh, Penske 1, 2, 3 today.
Will Power beats Elio, Briscoe, Franchitti, and Dixon, and the point spread now is just 26.
Best weekend you could ever have. Team performance, unbelievable. Back on top again.
Coming off a great weekend and making it look like just another day at the office when he gets his 7th pole, but you said it exhausted you to meet Graham. So what makes you think you can beat him when he tries to swap spots with you today?
I don't know. I mean, it's going to be about strategy, I think. Very tough to pass around here. It's a fantastic track, very technical, great fun in qualifying, but you know, I think that you'll see some cars go off strategy, pit early, and then if there's a yellow, they'll cycle to the front and game on.
We have 2 of your specialty road courses left, but also 2 ovals. What do you think your chances are of catching up to Dario and passing him in the points?
You know, it's possible. It's here. If we do the job, we can catch him.
Okay, 25 points to go for Will Power. Kevin?
Okay, thank you, Lindy. And let's take a look at the points now. That bonus point yesterday comes into play, so Power is within range. It's conceivable that today he could come out of the championship lead, but fairly unlikely that Dario Franchitti is going to have to deal with massive issues, but a tricky street course, you never know. Scott Dixon is still in the chase as well. Let's look at how it breaks down on a race-per-race basis. 50 points is what a driver gets for winning, plus a point for the pole, 2 for leading the most laps. And there are still plenty of points to be learned as we work our way down through the end of this IZOD IndyCar Series Championship culminating in Las Vegas. Well, we've heard from the chaser. Let's hear from the chasee now. Dario Franchitti is with Marty.
Yeah, Kevin, in the last 7 days, Dario has seen 22 points of that championship lead be erased, and he started a deficit today as well. How do you not let points counting during a race even become a distraction?
Well, I think when you're chasing or you're the one being chased, you just go out each week and do your best. We've been in both positions in the last 4 years, being the guy getting chased and the guy chasing, so you just go out and do your best. Last week, Will was clearly better than we were, and we did absolutely the best we could with what we had, so we're trying to turn the tables on him this week. We'll be spending 75 laps trying to do that, and hopefully we can. If not, we'll do it next week.
This track has been fun for the drivers. It's also been challenging for the drivers. We've seen some of the best in the world get off, including you, off the course. What surprised you? What can jump up and grab you with this racetrack?
Well, it's a typical street course. You know, the wall's very close, lots of bumps, but it's kind of unpredictable, and we're not quite sure why that is. So, yeah, it's caught everybody out. Caught me out 3 times in one qualifying session yesterday. So, yeah, it can catch out. So hopefully we'll have a mistake-free day today.
I know you have a well wish to send out as well, Dario.
Yeah, I want to say hi to Michael Wanzer down in St. Jude's in the Target House there down in Memphis. He's going through a little chemo this week. His little brother Robert just showed up to give him some support. So all I can say is Memphis, look out.
There you go. He's the son of one of the team members for these guys. They went to visit him 2 weeks ago, still thinking about him today, Kevin.
All right, thank you, Marty. And by the way, Dario Franchitti's next win will be his 31st, tying him with Sebastian Bourdais and Paul Tracy for 7th on the all-time list. Well, last week featured well over 100 feet of elevation changes in the sweeping, twisting track near the Vineyards in Sonoma Valley. This week, we're in the middle of downtown Baltimore on a flat, temporary street course. The different setups needed for the car is the focus of this week's Professor B with Jan Beekes.
Last week in Sonoma, the cars ran maximum downforce because of the high-speed corners. Well, this weekend in Baltimore, they're still on maximum downforce, but for a completely different reason. On a bumpy street circuit, you want max downforce to help stability of braking. But that's where the similarity from last week ends. Because of the bumpy surface and one-wheel bumps that you have on a street course, you want softer springs, and you want to disconnect oftentimes your anti-roll bar. An anti-roll bar keeps the car from rolling by essentially attaching the two side suspensions together. Well, on one-wheel bumps, that's not what you want. So when you remove that, yes, it's more compliant, but you remove the ability of the driver to make changes in the cockpit throughout the race. If you were to disconnect your front anti-roll bar, yes, you would want to do the same at the rear. Here's the mounting location, and yes, it has been removed. The idea, the car rolls from side to side. You wouldn't want these two connected to lift up that inside tire and then lose traction. Everything on a street course setup is always give and take. And for 7 years, the engineers have been trying to perfect the ideal setup for a Dallara on a street circuit. Well, guess what? Today is the very last time that these cars will ever run on a street circuit. You better get it right.
All right, thank you, Jan. And don't forget, you can catch Jan after today's race with the Verizon post-race report. Just download IndyCar Mobile, only from Verizon, and text INDY, I-N-D-Y, to 3406. Well, we visited with Justin Wilson a little while ago. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to be in the car today or likely the rest of the season. But there's Giorgio Pontano, filled in very nicely last weekend at Infineon. He was running 6th going into the final turn before he was penalized for blocking, moved back to 17th. Let's meet him.
I'm Giorgio Pantano, and this is me. I'm Kat. At the moment, I live in Italy. The place is called Dolo, but it's close to Venice. I like USA. I like the place, I like the people, I like everyone. And probably what I miss is just pasta and espresso. These are two things I miss it. You know me, I'm a driver, but on the real life, I like to play golf. I can take Graham on the golf course. I can take him also on the track. I mean, I started when I was 7 years old. We started racing go-kart, and then from there, we just grow up. Then Weldon beat me on 1997. He won the race and I was second in the European Championship. I hope to see you very soon in IndyCar and beat him in IndyCar.
I think that fourth one is mine. Welcome back to Baltimore, the Inner Harbor here as we get set for the inaugural Baltimore Grand Prix. Here's a look at Tony Kanaan, and he has been busy this morning. His team has been very busy. The morning warm-up was eventful and in an unfortunate way, and this is scary. This morning, just a few minutes into the morning warm-up, watch Kanaan in the green and yellow car launch over the top of his friend Helio Castroneves. Helio got out of the car, immediately ran to check on Castroneves, made to check on Kanaan. That's the onboard from Helio, and here one more look. The brakes failed. 170 to 180 miles an hour. Castroneves and Kanaan have been friends since they were children growing up in Brazil. Marty Snyder had a chance to speak with both of them earlier this morning.
I lost my brakes. I mean, it was just scary. If it wasn't for Helio there, I was probably going to be hurt. So he saved my life. And, funny enough, a good friend, and I feel bad for them. I went to apologize to Roger, Tim Cindric, because those kind of things should not happen. A race car should never lose its brakes. So we're going to figure out what happened, but losing my brakes at 190 miles an hour in the end of the straight, it wasn't fun, I can tell you that.
I just saw a car flying by me, and it was very scary because the way he hit and landed, it was not a very good position, and I noticed it was Tony, so I ran to make sure that he was okay because he didn't move when he landed. So I was very concerned. But when I got there, he's like, sorry, I'm sorry. I said, no, I came here just to ask if it's okay. And he said he lost his brakes. So to be honest, I'm glad I was there because make a little softer his impact, because it would be really bad when you lose the brakes in that corner.
That happened about 8:45 this morning, so both teams, there's the KV crew putting together the backup car to get ready for this race, and also Team Penske thrashing as well for a car, and they are nearly ready to go. Let's hear now with Lindy.
And what a couple of hours for Tony Kanaan and this entire team. You take the good parts off your car, put them onto EJ Vizo's backup car, which was set up for an oval. You've had to do all this and test all the equipment to make sure it's working before you get out here. But where are you at mentally with all of this?
Ready to go. I mean, I think the guys did a great job putting the car back together. Obviously, we created our own problems this morning, so can't thank Alio enough for being there. I feel really bad for him right now that by the rules, because he changed to the backup car as well. He's starting right behind me, which I'm going to give him that position at least on the start, and then I'm ready to go, Lindsay. That's part of our job. I mean, you need to erase and turn the page. You know, try not to think about it. Any update as to what happened with the brake issue? It's been a mechanical failure. We don't know yet. We're going to investigate, but definitely it was something that we've done wrong. We haven't had time to investigate yet, just because we're trying to rebuild another car, but by tomorrow for sure we'll know what happened. We know you as an aggressive driver that loves to pass. Brian Barnhart said the people in the back need to be prepared to pretty much come to a stop as this starts. You going to do that? Yes, I think here, especially the way turn one is, I don't think you're going to, if you try to be brave, you probably don't make to turn one. So I don't think we need any more tear-up equipment today, so I'll try to take it easy and then try to pass them later on. Tony Kanaan starting second to last, but letting his buddy Elio get in front of him.
Thank you, Lindy. And both are ready, and there's a look at the three cars starting in the back next to Tony Kanaan as well, trying to work their way through the front of the field. All right, coming up in just a moment, the grid run with Robin Miller getting set for the inaugural IndyCar event on the streets of Baltimore on Versus.
It's time to go racing in 2011.
Dario Franchitti is the early leader. Give the Scotsman the 27th win of his career.
The battle up front here at Barber Motorsports Park gets closer and closer. Will Power goes to victory lane. Conway has taken the lead from Ryan Briscoe. Back from a devastating crash last year at the Indianapolis 500, Mike Conway wins his first Eyes on IndyCar Series event. When it comes to racing on the street and road courses, you simply cannot beat power. Will Power wins at the Itaipava Sao Paulo Indy 300. He survived a wild afternoon of crashing, and Dario Franchitti is the winner. Will Power wins at Edmonton. Franchitti runs third behind Castro Neves.
Dario Franchitti opens the bottom of the racetrack, and Scott Dixon just kind of shoves him out of the way.
Wow. Scott Dixon wins the Honda Indy 200.
Good job, man.
Will's going to get the advantage.
Checker flag. Great job, guys. Oh, Penske 1, 2, 3 today.
Will Power has dominated again at Infineon.
Will Power won the Mario Andretti Road Course Championship last year. So far this season, it's Dario Franchitti, but this race is even closer than the overall championship. Just 6 markers separate Franchitti and Power, and Oriol Servia in the top 5. He's in the top 5 in the overall standings as well. Well, while we have a moment, we want to tell you that Honda, Izod, and Macy's are partnering together for the Civic Racing Style Sweepstakes. Check out the all-new 2012 Civic at select Macy's and sign up for a chance to win a Civic LX Coupe. For more on that, we will find out what's happening down on the grid, and on pit row, we find all kinds of activity, and we find our man Robin Miller ready to visit with as many as possible. Go, Robin, time for the grid run.
Thankfully, I was like Gale Sayers in high school, and I got a lot of moves. Young man, I'm going to tell your daughter not to watch the first corner. That's right. Don't watch the, well, I'm going to try to be conservative. There is not much I can do from 27, so hopefully our luck change a little bit and see what happens. But Shelby Power is looking pretty good.
All right, thanks. Now this is where speed comes in, boys and girls. I'm going to come by through here. Ed Carpenter gave me some strategy tips earlier. Tony George and Ed Carpenter. What's your strategy, kid?
Just keep it clean today.
Second gear going into one, or first, come to a stop?
It'll be first for sure.
All right, thanks. All right, that was Tony George. He didn't say hi to me. I'm a little hurt, but I'll be okay. Let's see. Where's Miss Danica? Hey, kid, this is going to be like a stock car race, rubbing and gouging, and you're going to get used to that, so what do you think?
Well, I'm sorry. Let me prepare myself. I didn't realize
you
were
don't
gonna
have
be
to
here.
prepare yourself. It's the grid run.
I think rubbing is bad in IndyCar. I think I need to forget those things and I need to keep these beautiful side pods all clean.
I think if you finish...
And I think I need to not own a corner.
Okay, but if you finish, you'll probably finish in the top 5, don't you think?
Based on the lights race, I think so.
All right, thanks, kid. All right, I think she's going to NASCAR, but she never tells me stuff. Oh, here's who I'm looking for, Marco. Okay, kid, we keep meeting back here in the back, except when you win Iowa. What's your strategy?
Get to the front, man. We're hoping that there's going to be a little bit of carnage.
But you don't want to start it?
Of course not, no.
All right. See you, kid. All right. Oh, sorry. I ran into somebody. Oh, my God, I just got stomped on by my camera guy. I'm hurrying. There's Anna. Where's little Anna? Oh, none of these drivers are here. Where is my boy? Tags. Tags and Sam Smith. Hello, young man. Everybody's got a different strategy. What's yours?
I'm not going to tell you. Oh, we're not going to tell you. But we have the best people in the business, beyond the pit wall, so we should be okay.
I was looking for your wife. I didn't really want to talk to you, and there she is, the prettiest woman in motorsports. You guys missed her. All right, where's my boy Schechter? I got to find my boy Schechter. Schechter's the guy that's going to put on a show here at the start. All right, I'm getting up here. I don't really care. There's Charlie Kimball moving up to the field. Oh, Hinchcliffe's a good quote. Mayor Hinchcliffe.
Yes, sir.
Strategy. You can take the Rookie of the Year lead if you do good today.
Yeah, I could lose it if I do bad, too. So the strategy meeting today went from this could be anywhere from a 1-stop race to a 4-stop race. So
keep your nose clean. You're in the top 5.
That could work.
And you Canadians quit being so negative. Fino, you've been here a long time, brother. AJ Foyt said this is nothing compared to Langhorne.
I don't know how many of these fellows today you could even contemplate them running Langhorne.
All right, here is finally, where is my boy Schechter? Oh, I don't know. I got to find somebody that speaks better English. All right, Vitor, you got AJ Foyt happy again because you almost made the top 12. What's your strategy today, brother?
Right now we are 12th. Just a later one. Strategy, to be honest, at the beginning of the race is just survive. Obviously being aggressive a little bit. You don't want to lose a lot of positions. It's impossible to pass here. So, yeah, be safe and definitely finish first.
Thanks, kid. All right. I cannot believe that Thomas Schechter, he must have qualified a hell of a lot better than I thought he did. I can't find him. Scott Dixon. This is it. No more drivers. One of the prettiest women in racing.
Oh, I love you.
Hello, Mom. There's a lot of women hate you because you look better when you're pregnant than they do when they're not.
Oh, my God, I feel terrible, but I do love you for saying it. Thank you.
And he overachieved.
Oh,
come on. Oh, son, you're so lucky to have somebody like this.
You can't say that in front of me. Personality.
He has a great personality. You've loosened him up. All right, we got to go to break. I got to get the oxygen tank. When you come back, we're going to keep telling you how good this race is going to be. And I think I might faint here in about 20 seconds.
Welcome back to Baltimore. We get closer and closer to the start of today's race. I'm Bob Jenkins, along with my booth mates, Jan Beekes and Wally Dallenbach. The last 2 races we've had have been on natural terrain road courses, Mid-Ohio and Sonoma. But this track will require a whole different line of thinking and driving, Wally.
I love street court racing. You have to attack this place so hard. And this is one of those places where you're going to see a lot of mistakes. You go to a place like Sonoma, you get in a rhythm, you get in a groove, you don't see many mistakes. But Jan, at this place, it's bumpy. You have to just jab and stab. We're going to see a lot of problems, especially in turn 1, because it's very bumpy, heartbreaking. We're going to see guys locking tires up and collecting each other.
And I think when you talk about those mistakes, this is the kind of race that championship contenders are very nervous about. Think about what happened in this morning's warm-up. Mechanical failure for Tony Kanaan, flying over another car. Even had people coming in and blocking the track completely. If you're a championship contender, you're nervous right now. But if you're someone back in the pack, if you're a dark horse, this is the kind of race you love.
An incredibly scary crash, but hopefully there will be no more of that kind of crashing as we get into today's race. And we are just about ready for it. We go down trackside for the opening ceremonies just before the start of the Baltimore Grand Prix.
Race fans now presenting our nation's colors, the color guard of the National Park Service, Fort McHenry National Monument and Historic Shrine, along with the midshipmen from the U.S. Naval Academy. Once again, race fans, we ask that you rise and remove your hats and join National Recording Artist and National Guard Youth Spokesperson Laura Brenna for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave, the brave, the brave.
There is electricity in the air. You can see the incredible crowd that has gathered here for this inaugural race. They are ready for 75 laps of competition on a 2.04 mile course. 150 miles of competition here this afternoon. Will Power will have the pole for today's race, trying to take over the points lead in the series championship from Dario Franchitti. There is Sebastian Bourdais, who is just about to step into his car, sponsored by the Boy Scouts of America, James Hinchcliffe, also getting his helmet on, getting ready to go. And Graham Rahal has the second starting position outside of row number 1. Dario Franchitti, he is the points leader going into this event, and the season is drawing to a close very, very rapidly. It is race day just to the west of the Inner Harbor in Baltimore, Maryland. This is the inaugural Grand Prix of Baltimore, and we are just about ready to give the command. There you see pit lane just below Oriole Park at Camden Yards, one of the most recognizable places in all of sports. General Colin Powell, who drove the pace car in Indy in 205, will give the command.
Are you ready? Hold on.
Well, some problems obviously with the mics down on pit lane where the command will be given. General Colin Powell, a big race fan. He was in the drivers' meeting today, and I just mentioned he drove the pace car in 2005 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Brian Barnhart said, anytime you want to do that again, just sign on the dotted line. And Colin started walking toward Brian with his arms out like he was ready to sign on the dotted line. He is a good race fan, a Corvette owner, and just a great ambassador for the sport of motor racing. Waiting the command to start engines. Again, 75 laps of competition on this 100 and 150 miles. There is Colin Powell. Took a ride in the pace car a little bit earlier, trying to get all the equipment down on the pit lane functioning.
Drivers, start your engines.
And there you have it.
And has been given. The command has been given. Row 1, let me know. Row 1, hot. 2, hot. 3, hot. 4, hot. 5, hot. 6, hot. 7, hot. 8, hot. 9, hot. 10, hot. 11, hot. 12, hot. Row 13, row 14. All 4 cars cooking like clam chowder. All cars are running.
An appropriate comment for this area. Well, we focus on 2 drivers battling for the championship, but there are 26 others that also hope to make this their big day here in the streets of Baltimore, Maryland. Honda's fastest seat in sports sweepstakes has been very popular. Log on to shophonda.com to enter. This week's lucky winner is Vicky Butson from Altamont Springs, Florida. Vicky, can you hear me? Vicky, can you hear me? I think she hears us, but I don't think she's able to talk right now. Al Unser Jr. is driving Vicky around this racetrack here in Baltimore, getting the set and pacing the field for today's race. She obviously is having a very good time in the seat. By logging on to shophonda.com, Vicky won the opportunity to start today's race in the Izod 2-seater driven by Al Unser Jr. All right, let's bring in Jan Beekes as we take a closer look at the street course here in Baltimore.
Bob, both Al Unser Jr. and Vicky are taking a look at the course as we speak, and what they're going to see is they're going to work their way through the city streets and, of course, around Camden Yards. Turn number 1, that's what Wally was talking about, very bumpy. This is all the concrete section of the racetrack. Turn 3, another good place to pass. But right when you hit turn 5, right there, it turns to asphalt. All these corners are asphalt. They're much higher grip. They're smoother. You build your speed, and you continue to build speed. Some of the fastest corners, 10, 11. Then you turn on the Pratt Street there, turn 12, goes back to concrete. But note the pit lane. It is not on the start-finish straightaway. There's kind of a circuitous route you have to take on the way in. Watch the exit, a pit road as well.
Here's a great shot of how bumpy this place is. There's Danica Patrick. And most of the drivers I've talked to today say that this is the roughest, the bumpiest racetrack that they've ever been on. Pretty incredible.
That is there at the chicane just off of turn number 12. And that's just beyond that is where they will get the green flag. Let's take a look at the Mother's Polish starting grid for today's race. Will Power wins the pole and moves another point closer to championship points leader Dario Franchitti. Graham Rahal will start on the outside of row number 1. Ryan Briscoe and Franchitti will occupy row number 2. In the third row, Sebastian Bourdais and Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Yeah, Bourdais, this is his best start this year, 5th today. He's got great finishes, 6th at Toronto, Edmonton, and Sonoma. But here's a guy that's got 31 wins, 31 poles. Things are starting to gel with him and Dale Coyne Racing. You can't count this guy out.
In row number 4 for today's race, Mike Conway, the winner of Long Beach, and E.J. Viso. In row number 5, Scott Dixon and Simona De Silvestro.
And Simona is so happy to be back with her team to get reunited after solving her immigration issues. The paperwork was fine. Now she's back in. She thinks this racetrack is the great equalizer. She thinks she'll be fast.
The fastest rookie qualifier yesterday, James Jakes. He will start on the inside of row number 6. Veteran Vitor Mira alongside. Giorgio Pontino will be back in the 22 car, substituting for Justin Wilson. Oriol Servia will start alongside him. Rookie contender for Rookie of the Year honors, James Hinchcliffe and Charlie Kimball, a couple of rookies in row number 8. The 9th row, J.R. Hildebrand and Martin Plowman. And as you take a look at the rest of the starting lineup, we have had 7 different winners in 14 races so far in 2011. And we could very definitely see a new face in victory lane here this afternoon on a very, very unpredictable street course.
I think those two guys should just lay way back. If I was Kanaan or Castroneves, I think I would just give them about a half a lap head start.
Yep. Kanaan and Castroneves, of course, were the two involved in the big crash earlier today that forced both Kanaan and Castroneves to go to backup cars.
Bob, it's a good opportunity to look at the Sunoco pit strategy. Anytime you have big, wide windows like those, that is a great opportunity for people to roll the dice. And those mid-pack and backpack definitely pit early, hope for yellow. Lindy, what's the situation for Jimmy Vasser and Sato?
Well, Jimmy Sato starting near the back because of a qualifying incident. This is a tough one to call. What is your game plan here based on where he's at?
Well, generally you try to do the opposite of what the leaders will do. We think there's going to be a lot of yellow and a lot of opportunity to go off strategy. But it's, it's unfortunate. We did have the speed to qualify up front and just spun there at the end. Also going to be particularly careful on the start. We're going to try to have him hang back and not get caught up in turn one.
So it could be an advantage where he's at in the end. Yeah,
it could, actually. And, Tony's back there with the bad crash we had in the morning. So, we got, with the yellow flags, it gives you an opportunity to go off strategy, and it could pay off.
There you have it, Bob.
On board, J.R. Hildebrand will carry one of our onboard camera for the National Guard. Next will be Mike Conway, who carries the Firestone onboard camera this week. There's Helio Castroneves, who'll start at the rear of the field. Dario Franchitti will also carry one of our onboard cameras. Ryan Briscoe has the IZOD onboard camera. And Will Power, of course, with the Verizon onboard camera. We're just a little bit away from the start of today's race, and this is just going to be a very, very interesting start of the race. The people here have done a tremendous job putting this course together. You see some tires now being adjusted here just before the start of the race, but they have done a tremendous job putting up the jersey barriers, the fencing, all the tires to get things ready for this race here this weekend. Our hats off to all the people of Baltimore. They have been very, very hospitable to us since our arrival here on Thursday. And let's get a report from on Graham Rahal.
Well, Bob, there's so much to watch in today's race. We have the championship battle that we talked about earlier with Will Power and Dario Franchitti duking it out. And you can't forget about Graham Rahal. He hasn't won in 3 years. He has his best start of the season today when he starts in second position. And he told me before he climbed in the car, he was a little surprised that Will Power chose driver's side right to start the race. He thinks driver's side left is the best lane. He said, that's where we've been all weekend. I think I might have the advantage going into turn one. But remember, Will Power has to hit that start-finish line first. Then Graham Rahal can make his move, and that's if we can get all those cars through turn one. That seems to be the big question, Bob.
They move through turn 7 down into turn number 8. This is an inaugural venue. How about some other major open wheel winners at inaugural places? Ronnie Bucknam, I remember being at the race in Michigan in 1968 when he won that inaugural race. A.J. Foyt in 1964 at Phoenix. Sebastian Bourdais won in 2005 at Edmonton and San Jose. And Will Power won a street race in Las Vegas in 2007.
Were you at every race, Bob?
Back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, yeah. And then I started working. And on this date, back in 1961 at DuQuoin, Illinois, on the 1 mile dirt, A.J. Foyt beat Shorty Templeman and Eddie Saxon in 77 at the Ontario 500. I don't think I was there for that. Al Unser beat Foyt and Tom Sneva. And also in 1988, Emo won at Emo, Mid-Ohio. And in 94, Al Unser Jr. was the winner at Vancouver on this very busy motorsports weekend, Labor Day weekend. And we wish all of you a very, very good Labor Day weekend. Robin?
Bobby, I've been to a couple more races than you, but we're both old guys. All I can tell you is this is the 15th time they've tried an IndyCar race in the streets. And I got to tell you, I've never seen a race that's got more potential than this does, just the way the track's laid out, right in the middle of the city with all the restaurants and bars. We might have a lot of new fans and a lot of drunk fans, but I think they're going to be happy fans.
No, I think you're absolutely right. They have definitely turned out for the weekend, beginning on Friday when we had a practice period. On the all-time list, Mario Andretti 26, Dario Franchitti 24. And where has Dario not won? Well, it includes here, Motegi, Kentucky, and Las Vegas, the final 4 races on the schedule. So maybe that says something for the championship that is unfolding before us. Lindy.
Hey, take a look at where Hunter Ray is pitted. Across pit lane, Danica and Ed are pitted. The outside tire changers here are a little bit worried about that. Also, Brian Hunter Ray says if Scheckter is laid out when he's coming in, it's really hard for him to see. They've told him, act like you did at Mid-Ohio. Get your front tires where they need to be. Let the rear guys get where they need to go, because at that point, Bob, he can still get out the way he needs to be. Pit lane is going to be tight today.
They're moving through turns 10 and 11 here, setting up for turn number 12 and the start of the race. The field is kind of spread out here.
You've been watching the onboard here of Castroneves. He laid way back and let the field go, and then he got on it real hard, and I think he's just testing his car out because he doesn't have any laps on this race car.
Yep. Very good point. That's a spare car that he wants to get the feel of, and as they come on to Pratt Street, they were told in the drivers' meeting to go single file through the chicane as they're doing now. Right past the chicane, they're going to form up the double file, and before you know it, the hammer will be down.
And here is the 2 abreast formation. The green flag for the inaugural Baltimore Grand Prix waves. The dream of this city is a reality. Let's see what happens in the turn 1.
Rahal really got in there good.
Oh, they go through 2 abreast in the first 3 rows at least, and Rahal has the lead.
Just as Marty said, Graham Rahal thought there was more grip, and here comes Power to the inside.
He's going to get the lead in turn number 3. Already 2 passes here. The rest of the field coming through this hairpin turn at turn number 3.
And 2 of those passes were for the lead, a pass and a repass. That was awesome.
Here's the Honda tread cam located between turns 4 and 5. They're coming right at you and right over your head. Power has the lead as they go down the pit straight. Pit's on the left of your screen. 3rd place is Franchitti. 4th is Briscoe, Bourdais, Hunter Ray. Conway, and by golly, they survived the first lap so far, at least in what we thought might be a problem.
They pushed in the drivers' meeting. Brian Barnhart said, you guys need to make good decisions on the start. Nobody's got through turn 1 and any of the other races this weekend without piling them up. So they obviously did a good job here.
They sure did. Hats off. But look how bumpy it is coming off corner number 12 through the chicane once again and about to complete lap number 1. Power will have the advantage. The distinction of leading the very first lap in the Baltimore Grand Prix. Bourdais, Hunter Ray in 6th. There's Conway, Viso, Dixon, De Silvestro, Jakes, Mira, Pontano, Servia, Hinchcliffe, Kimball. Everybody running cleanly now as one lap is complete. Just a great shot of the straightaway between turns 2 and 3. There's James Hinchcliffe right ahead of Charlie Kimball.
Brian Hunter Ray in yellow and white, DHL colors, chasing down the Boy Scout red, white, and blue of Sebastian Bourdais.
That's for 5th and 6th position. Bourdais running in 5th. Hunter Ray in 6th.
Speaking of colors, right behind them is Mike Conway. That's a new paint scheme, black and yellow for him. You'll see him just come into the frame here. Mike Conway, of course, the winner in Long Beach.
That long exit there at turn number 9, that's an area that Jan has said we should keep very close eye on through the weekend. So far, okay, this is turn number 12 now as they come out onto the front stretch, but first going through this chicane. Marty.
And Bob, that's a very angry Mike Conway behind the Buffalo Wild Wings wheel. He said, you know, Matt, in qualifying, I really messed up. That was totally my fault. We had a car that should have been not only in the Fast 6, but maybe a car that could have contended for the pole today. He said, we have a car that should finish on the podium. If we can survive, I think we can finish there.
There's a lot of guys, too, Marty, that just didn't get what they wanted in qualifying. I think he had a lot of good cars outside the top 10 that just didn't get laps. Servia was one of them. You know, Dixon was scratching his head after qualifying as well. So I think there's a lot of sleepers in the back here.
Buffalo Wild Wings, the new sponsor on the car this weekend for Mike Conway, car 27. This is an area where Ryan Briscoe had problems on Friday, having a really bad crash. They got the car okay, though. Well, this is the 19th consecutive road race that Will Power has led. It's the 11th race that he has led this season. That's 2 more than his points rival, Dario Franchitti. Stay with us. Power leads over Rahal and Franchitti. Racing continues here at Baltimore from our Exmo super slow motion. Look at the cars move around the chicane.
Yeah, he's going around it. Before the day's over, we're going to see a different shot of that. This guy's going to be clobbering that.
It is Will Power leading over Graham Rahal, but without question, Rahal has closed in on Power in the last couple of laps. Officially, it's a 0.6 of a second lead, but there's definitely less space between the two. Back in 3rd position is Dario Franchitti.
If forcing Power to a mistake is very difficult to do. But, you know, on the street courses like this, it's all about braking. It's about late braking. If you've got your car set up really well and you can brake late, that's how you pass guys. I mean, looks like Graham right now has got a good car under braking.
Here's the start of the race, and look how the first 3 rows move through turn 1, all side by side.
Will Power got in there close, as did Briscoe, but they gave the outside cars room. They were able to slide through. Now, Ryan Briscoe would have a great view of what was happening up front. I'm really curious to see how close Will Power on the right of the screen and Graham Rahal on the left, because right here, Power had to hold it really tight, as did Briscoe on Franchitti.
Now in turn number 3, this is where Will got the lead back.
Picture perfect move up the inside for Will Power.
He just put a lot of space on Rahal all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I wonder if Graham got out of shape somewhere, because there's a big gap there.
Yeah, by more of a second now between the first 2. Nobody has made any real big moves. Kanan, Castroneves, Sato, Franchitti, and Patrick have all advanced 1 position since the start of the race. Ryan Briscoe running in 4th position at the moment, about 5.7 seconds behind the leader. Let's jump on board with him.
Full throttle down here. Watch how Rob, real heavy braking here. Goes down into 3rd gear. It's a busy racetrack. Just watch how much his hands are moving.
Turn 1 was 35. This one's down to 30 miles an hour.
Watch how he crosses over. That's a lot of steering wheel in an Indy car.
55 through here.
Smooth pavement. They can't wait till they get to this part of the racetrack.
This kink right here, this is where he had his big crash. 70 miles an hour. He missed it a little and plowed into those tires. That's one of the reasons they were just adjusting those back.
On the pitch straight.
Next ride is 60 miles an hour.
It looks faster than 60.
I enjoyed you guys ride around the racetrack, by the way.
I almost made a left when
I noticed that.
This is fast here. 145 when you turn in, then 135 to the left, and jam the brakes on for this tight transition onto the concrete.
And back through the chicane and onto the front stretch, crossing the start-finish line once again. 8 laps of 75 have been completed. Now here is the action that we talked about on Friday during practice. Pretty serious crash, Kevin Lee.
And he said, maybe jinxed myself because I was complaining about that corner not long before I hit it. It's a very difficult, he feels dangerous corner, but it's something you have to deal with. Otherwise, they love this race course. Briscoe said yesterday, I just spent the day trying to get my confidence back. He felt pretty good about being able to reach the Firestone Fast 6. And he's running in the 4th position here today. Will Power has the advantage. The inaugural IZOD IndyCar Series race from the streets of Baltimore. Working on lap 9 of 75 on Versus.
Back in Baltimore, and disappointment for one of the contenders today. We saw him running in the 5th position just moments ago. Sebastian Bourdais is on pit road. The car is stuck in 3rd gear. This is the next to the last race of the season for Bourdais. He honestly thought they had a chance to finish on the podium today. You see the Dale Coyne team guys going to work, but clearly if they're able to get him back out, they first of all have to get it unstuck out of gear, but they are losing a ton of time here on pit road, guys.
Yeah, he was putting on a real good battle there with Ryan Hunter-Reay, and then all of a sudden that went away as we see
Dixon.
Wow, some cars bunching up here and doing some passing.
Scott Dixon in the tar colors just got by Conway, and look at this train behind Conway. Conway is holding up a group, and when they see one go by now, Simona De Silvestro is going to smell blood.
Dixon moves to 7th. Mike Conway 8th. Simona De Silvestro in green and white is running 9th. And behind her is James Jakes, who is Sebastian Bourdais' teammate for Dale Coyne Racing.
Interesting that Scott Dixon made that pass. You may have noticed he is on the black sidewall tires, which are the primaries, not as grippy, and he's actually driven away from those on the alternates, which are supposed to be, well, many of the teams are saying in qualifying they were 0.7 of a second faster. So Scott Dixon flying on primary tires.
Simona is trying to find the opportunity to get around Conway. She may have a shot at it here as they head down the long front stretch. Heading into turn 1. Let's watch.
I don't think she's quite close enough for it.
Oh, but she's going. Well, thinking about it.
Had a notion.
Objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. But look at this run now. This is the place that we saw the move for the lead.
Yeah, you can do it here, maybe. Commit it. You got to commit. You got to commit. There you go.
Yeah.
Yep. Very good.
And now Conway is going to lose one position. Thought maybe Jakes would be able to go around also, but
well, Jakes on the inside of turn 4.
Yep. So Conway now slides back a couple of spots. He's back in 9th now.
Comes Vitor Mira. Vitor Mira gets the spot as well. So Conway certainly, the way that he let Simona come through in a way, at least it was a very, I guess you'd say sportsman-like gesture, but I think he did that because he's struggling with the car. There's something not right with that.
And Scott Dixon is on pit lane, Kevin.
So Dixon starting in the 10th position, decides to come in as soon as the window will open. They change from primary black tires. They go to a set of scuffed reds. This is the alternate compound, and that's a real good quick stop for Scott Dixon. Lindy?
Tony Kanaan must like the mix of the good parts of his old car and EJ's backup because he says everything is good. He doesn't want any changes on this car. He is taking red tires and he is pulling out a pit lane.
And Lindy, what you saw from both those two cars, they decided to start the race on primaries that are not as fast. The idea is run the minimum number of laps that you can, come in, get rid of them. Now for the rest of the race, you've got the race to your tires and you're on the early pit strategy.
So Tony Kanaan rejoins the field after making the pit stop. Meanwhile, up front, it is still Will Power showing the way with a rather comfortable lead at the moment over Graham Rahal.
Sato to the inside of Danica Patrick.
That turn number 3 has been the area so far where we have seen the passing, or most of it. That's Marco Andretti ahead of Sato and Patrick and Sebastian Saavedra in the yellow and red colors. And right behind him, as Oriol Serbia now makes a pit stop. So several drivers are getting into the pits right after that pit window opens. Marty.
Bob, part of the strategy that Yanni just talked about. The blacks come off, the reds go on. Brand new sticker red tires. You also see Marco Andretti leaving pit road as well. Oriol Serbia pitting a little bit early. All these guys who pit early have to get to lap at least 42 to be able to make it to the end of the race and make it a 2-stop race. Marco leaving pit road now, Bob.
We see Sebastian Bourdais still on pit lane as they're trying to get the gearbox on that car sorted out. Marco Andretti rejoins the race. And right behind him is Thomas Schechter. Meanwhile, here's Mike Conway and Charlie Kimball as they're continuing to battle it out. That is the battle for 12th position.
That Conway's obviously struggling here.
Yep. It's a great shot in it.
Pit now.
And there's Conway peeling off.
Martin Plowman followed him in. A lot of people going on this early strategy.
There's Plowman in the number 17 car.
Okay, come around 4 days. Keep coming. Keep coming. Right around 4 days right now.
Marty.
And as you guys have mentioned, a lot of guys coming on this early strategy, but this is the first of the cars to take off red tires and put on the normal blacks, and they're going to head back down pit road. Conway very, very loose on the track. They made a wing and an air pressure adjustment. Kevin, Helio Castroneves is in.
Yeah, he's going to take the early strategy, and he's going to be a 3-stop race for Helio Castroneves, and he comes out just in front of Danica Patrick. This is a tough exit on pit lane, but no issues there. Castroneves comes in early, hoping for some clean track and hoping for a caution.
And Kevin, for Castroneves, he should, if the fuel economy, remember, a lot of these teams are flying blind because they got very few laps because of that big accident in the warm-up to get a read on race day fuel economy. But Castroneves should be able to, if the figures work out, to do it in one more stop.
14 out of 75 laps completed. Let's look for the pass here as TK goes to the inside of Danica and makes the pass. Tony Kanaan picks up a spot.
And that was typically what we talked about. Turn one, we see that, and we'll see more of that as he's get in there and locking up the front tires. It's tough. You can't do anything. You can't turn the car. You've got to get the car under control. So it's a great place to pass somebody.
Watching action here at the back of the field amongst those who have already pitted. Tony Kanaan just went to 24th, getting around Danica Patrick. And right behind Danica is her teammate, Marco Andretti. Well, so far, no major issues here in this race. Will Power has been in command since the drop of the green flag. Graham Rahal is running in second spot, but before this race, a lot of enthusiasm among the fans and the drivers for the Baltimore Grand Prix. It's the IZOD IndyCar Series in the inaugural Baltimore Grand Prix, and they're bouncing off the curbs here in the streets of this city. Great overhead view. The inner harbor, and not too far away is the Oriole Park at Camden Yards. There it is off in the distance. Just a great venue for an IZOD IndyCar Series race. And we are 17 laps into this 75-lap event. There is Will Power, the leader of the race. And he is still leading Graham Rahal, but Graham has really not let him get out of his sights very much.
He may have even gained up a little bit on there, Marty.
And guys, real quick, Sebastian Bourdais, it's an electrical problem for him. He's sitting on pit road. They do expect him to get back out there. And if you'll notice, the leaders here have caught lap traffic. They may force him to pit road a little bit earlier than they wanted, Kevin.
James Hinchcliffe just reported that he has a gearbox issue. The team told him, hang on to it, do the best you can. We'll talk about it if and when we get a yellow. He replied back, I'm driving a piece of my anatomy off right now. He's just trying to hang on. And right now, he is having a lot of difficulty on course, but he's not losing any positions.
And Hinchcliffe is involved in a torrid battle for Rookie of the Year honors. He is just 3 behind J.R. Hildebrand. And Hinchcliffe missed one race. There is Hildebrand in the National Guard car. He is leader of the Rookie of the Year point standings, but Hinchcliffe is within 3, and Hinchcliffe missed the first race of the year at St. Petersburg. Second place finisher at the Indianapolis 500. Down into turn 1.
Of course, J.R. Hildebrand in the warm-up tried to test a passing maneuver into turn number 1 that did not go well, ended up blocking the entire track. So he at least learned that lesson in the warm-up, and he's been clean so far today.
Ran into the back of Simona De Silvestro in the warm-up. James Jakes also had to come to a stop, blocking the entire track and essentially closing down the half-hour warm-up period that we had earlier today. J.R. Hildebrand running in the 13th position. And Marty is with Sebastian Bourdais.
Well, he climbed out of the car. It looked like for a while they were going to be able to fix it. What happened?
We don't have any gearbox control anymore. The wire that gives the power to the GCU is cut somewhere. I smelled something burning in the car, and I thought it was Briscoe ahead of me, but no, it was my car, and 3 corners later, there was no gearbox anymore.
So disappointing for these guys who expected a top 5 finish today, but they are indeed out of it. The leaders in that traffic we talked about, Bob.
Yeah, Will Power has been behind Marco Andretti now for several laps.
Yeah, this is where Rahal can make up a lot of, and he has, make up a lot of ground. This is what he was waiting for, is just to hold up Power a little bit. So, boy, he raced about 3 or 4 seconds.
With the overtake, you get a good run. Let's take advantage of it. Carpenter right in front of these 2 cars.
Yeah, so this, I mean, and you got this is go for it, man. I mean, this is your best opportunity to try to get the lead. So, well, if you can find an opening and use that slower traffic, Rahal's he's gonna take a look.
And that's Tim Keene on the radio has been telling him, use that don't be afraid to use the overtake here. You've got a chance to get the lead. Let's take advantage of it.
Oh, he's in a good spot right here too. If he can stay with them and get down into turn 1, he may be able to try to move down the inside and make an out-braking maneuver. Nope.
Not going to be close enough
too.
This time.
He was almost there.
Yep.
But they're approaching turn number 3, which is where he lost the lead. And here comes Will.
He's passing Marco Andretti, putting a lap on him.
See, what he doesn't want, and what Rahal doesn't want now is for the slower cars to become an issue with him.
Right.
And Marco Andretti, the way it works is that Marco Andretti is allowed to fight to stay on the lead lap. But once you go down a lap, as he's done now, typically he'll give room to the rest of the cars. And Rahal takes the opportunity to pit.
Yep.
I think that's a good idea. Especially if Power gets held up a little bit.
Is Power in too?
Okay, let's just focus on hitting your
Don't think so.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
They
Yes,
both
he is.
decided to.
Yep. So first and second pitting at the same time. Will is way down at pit exit. Marty.
And Bob, that's what we were talking about. The leaders or the lap cars were holding him up so much it was time to pit. No changes to the chassis. It'll be sticker black tires for Graham Rahal, Kevin.
Will Power in and out. He has that first pit stall. He was really concerned about pitting under green, though, but he's easily going to beat Graham Rahal back out on the course. Looked like a real quick stop for Power in the 12 team.
Well, he lost a lot of ground, too. Wherever he lost it, as soon as he hit pit lane, he lost a lot of ground to the leader.
Look out for Viso. Viso has hot tires. Woo, that's the fastest corner on the racetrack at 145 right there.
Viso has not pitted. He's running in 6th position. Dario Franchitti is the leader of the race, but he too has not made his pit stop. 21 laps have been completed. He's through turn number 3.
That shows you the advantage of being at pit out, but you also saw for Graham Rahal when they went to disconnect the fuel, there wasn't much. It was just enough where they lost a slight bit of time with that pit stop.
And here comes Dario. Franchitti also makes a pit stop.
He really had to pit because when you have the 2 leaders in front on that strategy, you don't want to get caught by a yellow. That forces his hand.
Kevin Lee headed toward you.
Dario Franchitti took over the lead when the top 2 pitted. He will come in, and then coming right around him in a moment, we'll see Ryan Briscoe. He's not going to come in this time. He's going to wait one more lap. Here's Franchitti. He's going to get out 7.5 seconds for Franchitti as the leaders go by. There you see him try to tuck in behind Graham Rahal.
And now will fall in behind E.J. Viso.
So that's bonus Graham Rahal. He gets a car in between.
Ryan Briscoe takes over the lead of the race, looking for a pit stop soon.
Look at this group.
Yeah. Here's Briscoe, the leader.
And I think maybe Briscoe stays out, takes a risk. He's got, as long as you have a clear track, stay out, I think.
Lindy.
Takuma Sato's crew was laid out once before, but but as soon as Jimmy Vasser saw that everyone was coming in, or a lot of people, to go off strategy, at the last second he changed his mind, said, Sato, stay out, pulled his crew back in. He wants to keep them with what the leaders are doing, and he is now back out, and they just keep telling him to push, push, push.
Sato, of course, another one of those who started at the rear of the field, because although he had a really good qualifying effort yesterday, as Ryan Briscoe hits pit lane, his top 2 speeds were taken away because he forced a full course caution during qualifying yesterday. Kevin, Ryan Briscoe is on pit lane.
50 miles an hour is the pit lane speed because of how cramped it is. He will get rode down in here. He's near pit out. He's going to have a clean entry and a clean exit. Roger Penske talks to him on the radio. He will watch and listen to Penske, different to the way most teams do it. Going to the black primary tires, and Briscoe is out and away, and let's see where he can cycle in regards to Franchitti.
7-second pit stop for Ryan Briscoe. There is Power. There is Briscoe.
And Jakes.
And James Jakes. So Ryan Hunter-Reay now shown as the leader of the race. He would be the final one.
Now they were set up for Ryan Hunter-Reay. You can see that in the background.
When he pits, it's going to give the lead back to Will Power. And we understand that Power missed the chicane. Yes, he did.
So what they do now, Bob, because there was no one in contention, he doesn't have to give a place back, but he can't go faster on that lap. Sometime from here, he has to give up enough time so when the stewards look at his lap times, it has to be slower. He has to give that up or they'll give him a penalty. And right there, he got on the brakes early. So he just gave back what he lost in the chicane. Here comes Ryan Hunter-Reay.
And now the pit cycle is almost complete. Ryan Hunter-Reay making his stop for Andretti Autosport. Just about a 7.5-second pit stop, and Ryan Hunter-Reay back in contention.
You can use as much fuel as you want. We're good.
You gotta love that. When they call you on the radio, say you can use all the fuel you want. That is what you want. That you get on a racetrack that's aggressive and stand on it.
Here once again is Power. Now taking back the lead of the race. And you see Graham Rahal right behind him by about 4 seconds, it would appear, maybe even more than that. So 24 of the 75 laps completed, almost a third of the way through this race already here in the streets of Baltimore. Look at Martin Plowman going over the curbs here. Wow, that car almost all 4 off the ground as he tried to negotiate the chicane here at Baltimore with Elio Castroneves right behind him. Well, Saturday, college football returns to Versus. First, number 14, TCU takes on Air Force, followed by Utah at number 25, USC. College football on Versus. Every game means everything. Out a 4-second lead for Will Power over Graham Rahal and a 9-second advantage over Dario Franchitti. Here's Robin Miller.
You know, Bobby, before the race started, I thought the one downfall for Graham Rahal might be his pit stops compared to Penske's. He was 2 seconds behind the whole first 25 laps. As soon as they go into pits, he's down 4 seconds. He loses 2 seconds every time they pit. He's toast. And him and Will Power were both pulling away from Franchitti, and they still are. Will and Dario trading fast laps every their lap, but his downfall may be the pit stops.
That would appear as if it were the case, because the interval is now about 4 seconds between first and second.
We did see earlier that traffic can just erase a gap like that. And Will Power cleanly got by Ed Carpenter, but there's more traffic to come, and that certainly could be something that will throw a wrench in the works for these leaders.
Power slow down because he missed the chicane, so make sure we don't miss the chicane. He's got to back off about 4.
There is Scott Dixon and Simona De Silvestro battling for 6th. Simona in green and white has 6th.
And that, of course, Bob, was Graham Rahal's radio, and they don't think that Will Power has given up enough from the time that we saw him miss the chicane. Now, of course, that's from Graham Rahal's crew standpoint.
There you see Mike Conway coming out of pit lane. Oh, and Georgie Gio Pantano going to the outside.
I love that shot.
On exit, here's the problem with Mike Conway.
Is that a gun or was it the? Yeah. Look.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of time.
Even shut the engine down.
That's an eternity.
It looks okay back there, so give it a shot. See what we got.
And to refire it too.
Yeah, you know, he said it looks okay back there. Let's give it a shot. I wonder if he had some contact.
He must have hit something.
But maybe that's why there was trouble getting it off, because they certainly did not seem like they were in a hurry there. There was something they were trying to overcome.
Right. Yeah, it didn't look like it was a regular pit stop.
All right, get your tire presses up there. See if your tire presses. Give it another lap. See what we can do. Hang on.
Well, what happened on the stop, guys, they couldn't get the lug nut off the right rear tire. That was what was going on there. But they said the car is just bottoming out now for no reason. They have not had a problem with the car bottoming out all weekend long, but now it's bottoming out. And he says bottoming out so bad he can't even get the tires up to temperatures. Kevin?
Power is essentially serving a 3-second penalty. He was told by Tim Cindric, you need to run a lap at 85. That's a little more than 3 seconds slower than what he's been running because he went through that chicane. So that's how that's dealt with. He just had to give up that gap that he had on Graham Rahal.
Well, I was wondering how they were going to do that. Yeah. And so that definitely closed it back up.
And we have verified that he did in fact do that lap. So he slowed down the number of seconds that they wanted.
Here's our camera in race control. Brian Barnhart on the left part of your screen. Tony Cobbin in the middle. Allenzer Jr. is between the two, seated.
Jim Swintel on the right, the voice of race control.
Keeping an eye on what's going on the racetrack, but that interval is definitely now down to less than 1 second between Power and Rahal. Meanwhile, on the racetrack, here is Charlie Kimball and Thomas Schechter.
And I was surprised that Will Power didn't give that up. If you have something like that, you want to give it up right away, not later. But thankfully, the gap they wanted still keeps them in the lead.
Back to Will Power. 29 of 75 laps now completed in the inaugural Baltimore Grand Prix. Thanks for joining us here on Versus. Will Power leads, and a good race up front as Graham Rahal is within just a few car lengths. Will Power is not certainly a stranger to winning on street and road courses. He has done so many times in his career, looking to put another one on the board. But again, Marco Andretti is just ahead of him, and he has been unable to get around him so far.
I think Rahal needs to make the move on Power before Power makes the move on Andretti. He needs to just be one step ahead of him if he's going to try to pass him. He's got more traffic up after that, too.
Wow, look at the points as Power is within 8 now of the championship. 3 races to go after this one. We'll have coverage of the race from Japan and then the one at Kentucky Motor Speedway before the finale in Las Vegas. And Thomas Schechter, who was a lap down in 26th position, is stopped on course. He has no power, and this should bring out a full course caution, but it has not yet.
If it does bring out a full course caution,
yes, it does.
And
yep,
it does.
There it is.
Marco Andretti just dodged a bullet because he stayed at the tail end of the lead lap, so he was saved by not letting Will Power go by. That's why they allow you to fight when you're still on the tail end of the lead lap.
Marco was in 24th position and just about to go a lap down, but not anymore, as he will be able to encircle the entire racetrack. We are under our first full course caution on lap number 33 at Baltimore. Under caution here gives us a chance to take a little bit of a breather after some great racing in the first 33 laps of this event. Will Power leading over Rahal, Franchitti, Hunter Ray, Briscoe, Biso, and Simona De Silvestro is now 7th, and Scott Dixon 8th. Now, Dixon apparently passed, but not where he should have and under the conditions that he should have. The yellow is out, you can see. But Dixon still passes and obviously was caught and so has to give the position back to Simona.
This is a great bonus for Scott Dixon. Remember, he was one of the very first people to pit, and he would have most likely not made it to the end without some caution. So this is exactly what Scott Dixon needed. He still needs to save quite a bit of fuel, but he, of course, I believe, along with Kanaan, were the first two to peel off.
And you saw the Thomas Schechter car pass through your screen. He was the cause of the caution. However, he has been refired. Kevin?
Dixon has just been told to stay out. The number 9 team had tires out. They've just put him back over the wall. And here comes Thomas Schechter, and we can see again. So they're going to gamble. He would not have been able to make it the rest of the way. One more stop, so maybe hoping on some more yellow. But we are going to see Helio Castroneves come down, and also, I believe, Tony Kanaan near pit in. There's Kanaan in. Lindy?
And TK's plan, even though he needed to come in very soon, was to wait and see what the leaders did. He was going to do exactly opposite, so here he comes. Red tires, and he's out.
Helio Castroneves at the front of the pit road. He comes in. He was one of those that's an earlier taker. He beats out Tony Kanaan. Castroneves the first time came in on lap 15, so he's going to need a lot of help to be able to make it the rest of the way. Marty?
And Kevin, while all the excitement's going on pit road, one of the race contenders sitting here on pit road still, that's Mike Conway. It was a broken right front shock. That was what was causing the car to bottom out so bad. So indeed, they had major problems. They're trying to fix that and get him back out if they can, Bob.
Helpless feeling sitting in your race car when it won't work right.
And that would certainly explain for Mike Conway the way that when people are coming by him, he didn't fight back. He knew he had some kind of mechanical issue. Now try and get it fixed.
You see the big sweepers there. They're going to make sure that the racing surface is clear of the so-called marbles before we go back to racing. Field still under caution here at Baltimore in the inaugural Baltimore Grand Prix for the IZOD IndyCar Series. Thomas Schechter came to a halt on the racetrack. He has since been refired. And the field comes through turn number 1, hopefully getting a green flag before too much longer. Almost halfway through this 75-lap event. It's Will Power leading Graham Rahal and Dario Franchitti. 4th is Ryan Hunter-Reay. 5th, Ryan Briscoe. E.J. Viso runs 6th, Simona De Silvestro 7th, then Dixon, Mira, and Giorgio Pontino running in 10th spot.
And Bob, Marty and I had a conversation during the break because Marty had mentioned that Graham Rahal was surprised on the initial start that Will Power chose driver's right. It turns out Graham Rahal was correct. Remember, Graham Rahal went around the outside. Well, now Will Power will have a choice. He can choose either side as the leader, how he wants to start.
Here's what I wouldn't want, and I think Power may be thinking about this. If you let the inside go, if you take the outside, somebody's on the inside, you go down in, that's the best opportunity for that guy on the inside to lock up a tire, go straight, and hit you because you're on the outside. I think I'd rather be on the inside to protect and eliminate somebody running into me on the restart.
I'm with you.
I mean, that could be. I
agree.
Down to Lindy.
I'm with Jenny Howell with Honda, and you've got a couple cool programs you want people to know about. Tell us what they are.
We absolutely do. We've got a great partnership with IZOD and Macy's, where we have the all-new 2012 Civic in the flagship stores in every IndyCar city. And we've got great autograph events where people can come out and meet the drivers and enter to win a 2012 Civic as well.
Sounds great. Some fun stuff. Anything else?
Yeah, we also have the opportunity to win a first car drive with Al Unser Jr. or Mario Andretti at every Indy race. You can enter at shophonda.com, and you've got 2 more chances for Kentucky and Vegas. So visit shophonda.com.
Thank you, Bob. I wish we could enter that competition.
That would be fun, wouldn't it?
I think Bob already did.
Now, how's this for an assignment? Helio Castroneves, with whom we ride, has been chosen as a judge for the 60th annual 2011 Miss Universe pageant, which will be held in Sao Paulo on Monday, September 12th. The good news is that we can watch it on NBC. It'll be at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, as he was one of the judges for the Miss Universe pageant. But boy, he came close to getting himself hurt very, very badly in morning warm-up. This is what happened.
I'll tell you what, I look, I've seen this crash a bunch now, and Kanaan is really the one who got lucky, because watch how he hits the wall on the outside. That's the best way you could hit. If that car would have turned any more and he hit that wall, it could have been really big.
And of course, in case you're just tuning in, that was due to brake failure. We talked to Tony. He said the pedal went right down to the floor. He didn't have front brakes or rear brakes. Tried to glance off Castroneves to slow the impact. That worked, and at the time, they still don't know what caused it because they put all their efforts into getting a spare car ready.
Both Elio and Tony Kanaan went to backup cars to start today's race. Well, there's one moment in every game that changes everything. NFL Turning Point, an all-new weekly series, premieres Thursday, September 15th at 10 o'clock Eastern here on Versus. And you can see right there is where the Baltimore Ravens of the NFL play. And we're also, of course, very close to Camden Yards, where the Orioles play. This is the place for sports in this city, and today they're racing through the streets in the IZOD IndyCar Series.
Before the restart.
Looks like they're beginning to close up. Here comes fourth place Ryan Hunter-Reay in yellow. Right behind him is Ryan Briscoe. Remember, the cars must go through the chicane.
Okay, what did Power
line up to abreast?
Do we know?
Say again?
Which Power picking? Inside or outside? Do we know?
We don't, but you and I think he should choose right.
I think he should take right.
He'll listen to us.
We'll see.
Now remember, this is not like the start. You may improve your position as soon as it goes green. And they will hammer it, I feel, as soon as they get out of this chicane.
Will's going to get the advantage. And Ryan Briscoe and Ryan Hunter-Reay go through the corner side by side. That's for fourth place. Ryan Hunter-Reay
got a
comes
good
out
car.
with it, yeah.
Oh, and he's taking a look at the inside.
Oh, Briscoe.
Briscoe hits him.
Oh, now he gets clobbered more. Now there's a traffic jam.
Now, there's
not good.
There's an inside lane open.
Are they paying a toll?
Oh man, this is not a laughing matter to many of these guys, but this is what we feared would happen at the start of the race. But they waited until this full course caution.
And Ryan Briscoe set off that chain by making contact with Ryan Hunter-Reay.
I think Castroneves owes some damage there. That's
Dixon has had his fair share of other people clobbering him this year.
And I think Castroneves at the head of that deal. Not sure if he stalled it, and that's why he couldn't get it in reverse to get it going. And I think that's what caused the jam up.
Now, was it not Ryan Hunter-Reay and Briscoe starting the season when we were in Barber when they made contact?
Yes, you're right.
So they have hit each other previously.
Well, I counted 12 cars that are stacked up down here in turn number 3.
Now, if you see, that's just, you know, you look at that. That's. Go ahead, Kevin.
Scott Dixon is limping his way around. Mike Hull told him, we're just going to fix what's wrong with the car. We're not going to take fuel. Scott said, I'm going to be out soon. Should we get a splash? So we'll wait and see. James Hinchcliffe also coming in right behind him. They're pitted next to each other as well. They are limping down pit lane. Dixon will pull in, and Hinchcliffe will pull in right behind him. So they're going to need more than tires. So let's see what they try to do. That's real difficulty steering that car in. So they'll assess the number 9 car. They will give it a splash of fuel, and we'll wait and watch. Wow, they sent it back out.
So they found obviously no suspension damage. That was just by tires being down. That's a break for Dixon, but doesn't look like that is the case for James Hinchcliffe. They go to the rear suspension for him.
Well, let's try to go back and see if we can determine exactly what set off this melee.
Well, we're riding on the car that made the contact. Oh, what's he doing? It was like he was on the left and then decided at the last moment to poke his nose in there. See, he's outside, and then...
Yeah, there's no way he's going to pull that one off. Oh, Tony just got by. They did make some contact there. You see Sato run up underneath the Jakes.
There's TK going through on the inside. There's Conway going through. J.R. Hildebrand's perspective.
You know, Wally, as a race car driver, when you see a gap, you know, you're trained to go for it, but that came so late.
That was too late.
It just came, the decision came too late, and there was just not room.
Elio's picking his way through, isn't he?
Oh, and then he tried to get it. He tried to, yeah, you have to break the rear loose to get it out. Now he can't back up because Ana Beatriz is there.
But see, this is where I think the guy that did the hitting should be sitting in pit lane.
We have just passed the halfway mark and a major melee down in turn number 3. But Will Power is still on top here in Baltimore. The water of the inner harbor to your right are nice and serene. Not so the activity on the racetrack to the left of that building. Here's what happened on the restart of the race as the cars went into turn number 3.
And once the Briscoe contact is made with Ryan Hunter-Reay, there are a few lanes that are open, but let's keep rolling because at this point the outside lane is still open. So as they can try to cycle through, and on the inside there, great move by one of the KV cars, but as soon as Plowman gets through and then there's a problem for Castro Neves, now all these lanes are blocked right there. So let's see how many cars we have. Castro Neves. Then we got Ana Beatriz, Mira, Pontano, Jakes, Saavedra, Patrick, Hinchcliffe, Sato, Andretti, Tagliani, and Ed Carpenter.
Wow. Marty is standing by with James Jakes.
Well, maybe the best run of the year for James Jakes ends early. What happened in your perspective on all that?
There was just a big mess up into turn 3 there. Somebody lunged up the inside, a couple of cars ahead, and there's nothing really he could do. I went to the inside because I thought they were going to get bumped off to the left, and they didn't. It's a shame because the number 18 Acorn Stellis car was running great. And, hopefully we can do it next week or in 2 weeks' time in Motegi, but thanks to the guys and a great job. And to Baltimore, you know, you really put on a great race, and hopefully we can do it again next week.
Tell you what, maybe performance-wise, one of the better weekends for Dale Coyne Racing, but both cars out of it early, Bob.
Yeah, too bad to see James Jakes and Sebastian Bourdais on the sidelines in this event. Several cars remain on pit lane. You see James Hinchcliffe's car closest to you, still getting some repairs made. There is Tony Kanaan, who is up to 8th position after starting last.
12, 38, 6, 59, 78,
the restart order.
27, 2, 83, 5, 4, 77, 17, 24, 34, 3.
I want to be fair here. If you remember, I was pretty hard on Hunter-Reay at Barber when he took out Briscoe. And if you remember, they were going down into the corner, and I just didn't feel like there was enough room for that move to be made here. He sends Briscoe into the sand trap and pretty much ruined his day. So I want to, like I said, I want to be fair. This deal was Briscoe's fault. He should be penalized. Hunter-Reay, you know, he got hit in the rear. We talked about this. When you get hit in the rear tire, it's not your fault. It's the guy that's doing the hitting's fault. So I think, you know, I think definitely Briscoe's fault, and he should be penalized for it.
Right now, he's lined up in 4th position. behind Franchitti.
When you heard the order, Bob, we kept listening, and 82 was way down in the order. So when he took the inside line and passed all those cars, they are repositioning them prior to that. So Tony Kanaan is going to have to give up a whole heap of spots.
Yeah, and along those lines, the guy that really lost out was Mira, who was having a hell of a run. He was running 7th or 8th, and now he's back in 18th, so hopefully he'll get to go back where he was.
Tagliani's still with the wing laying over his nose.
There's Vitor. Everyone shuffling, getting into position. This will take a while, judging by the order that race control read. There were a lot of people way out of order.
Yeah. Dixon going through.
Now, you get your place back if you had damage?
No, they're just taking, I believe that they're taking the positions of the car prior to the full course caution, which they would have called as soon as a few cars got tangled. So it would have been really your positions on your approach to turn 3 is, I assume, what they're going with. They went to the timing line before that happened.
Marco Andretti will make another pit stop.
So what I'm saying is Tagliani could change his nose and get back in the position he was running. But there was damage because of that. So they're going to give those guys their spots back, even though some of those guys got tore up in that little deal.
I see what you're saying. Well, now, though, if he pits to fix it, he may forfeit that. Like, wouldn't you fix it, and then when they reorder, you could pick it up? I'm not sure they're going to let him make a pit stop and then go shoot right back up where he is.
No, a lot of oil.
That's oil there, yes.
Yeah, they got a clean-up job with that.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's how slick it is.
That's oil. Right on cue. Yep.
That's Marco Andretti. Marty.
Well, Bob, I tell you, the other interesting thing about all of this mess, once they do finally get it cleaned up, is that we are now creeping into the final window. If we go about one more lap of caution, which I'm pretty sure that we will, all of a sudden the leaders can make it to the end of the race. So do you come now and take your tires now? And if you do come down pit road, do you go with reds or blacks? What do you want to do? So a lot of thinking going on down here, guys.
Yeah, but if you're going to do that, I don't think I'd put the reds on. I think I'd put the blacks on because they're going to wear better.
If I'm a leader, though, I don't pit, because you need to go fast and gap and then pit. If you pit now, all these people cycle by you, you would lose all that track position.
Yeah, but if you...
No, see, if Will Power were to pull in now and pit, when he rejoins, he's going to be at the back of the pack.
Yep.
Because they won't actually need fuel until, again, they could go as far as lap 59. So I think you take the green, Servia and a couple others.
All these guys should pit behind.
Well, towards the back, absolutely.
Yep. Oh, hang on, boys.
Yeah.
That is
They're on
very
the oil.
slippery.
Tagliani on pit lane.
Yeah, now this is exactly what you would expect. Anyone who's not a leader, pit. But I think it's too risky for the leaders to do so. Now, all these cars, if there's another caution before the leaders pit, they're all going to get a free pass. Marty?
And as Wally talked about, Alex Tagliani hits pit road. It will be sticker red tires, and they will change that front wing, trying to get him back out there and see what... That was a pretty quick stop for a wing change as well, and a little bit of traffic on pit road as well, Bob.
Yeah, that was a near miss at the top of your screen as we saw 3 cars get out of their pit box and almost run into each other. Lindy.
Well, Sato came in with that front wing damage. They were going to check it, hoping they didn't have to replace it, but they did. He is now out. As for TK, he came in at the same time. He took fuel only, Bob.
And just about everybody now is full of Sunoco fuel, proud manufacturer of ethanol for the IZOD IndyCar Series. All right, we're still waiting on the race to resume. And the Baltimore Grand Prix, Will Power leading Graham Rahal.
Back in Baltimore on a beautiful Sunday afternoon, 43 laps in the book here in the books in the inaugural Baltimore Grand Prix. This has been an action-packed race with Tim Keene, the strategist for Graham Rahal, and I think you're kicking yourself a little bit for not pitting there. Why?
Well, we didn't know about the oil in the pit lane until Graham went by and he said, we need to stay out. There's oil in the pit lane, which I would have done the opposite because that's going to keep us under yellow a little bit longer. The thing of it is the first car is 10th that's pitted. Everybody else from us to 9th hasn't. So we're just going to run as fast as we can all the way to the end of our fuel load. If we get a 30-second gap on Servia, we'll still come out in front of him. So we've already played our hand. Now we just got to go haul ass.
How big is the debate, red or blacks on the final stop, Tim?
New blacks seem to be better. They came in pretty good. Viso was on hot tires the last time we made a pit stop and came out on cold blacks, and we were able to keep him behind us, and then he just pulled away from him, and he said the car feels really consistent. So we got a fast car.
That's a strategy for Graham Rahal. Mr. Miller, what are you up to right now?
Well, that's the debate, Marty, because Paige Bader, Firestone, just told me that Dario has a brand new set of reds, never been run before, so I would think, man, I know it sounds like, well, let's take a chance on blacks, but the way the reds have been performing all year, it'd be awful tough not to bolt those babies on. Mr. Kevin Lee, what do you think?
Tim Cindric is talking to his driver, Will Power, right now up here. They are one of those that could have considered coming in here just a moment ago, but they are going to try to stay out and stay on their original strategy. For Will Power, the car has not had many issues, but this changes things up because now some people that were going to probably need a third stop are back in the game to make this a two-stop race. Lindy?
Some people fortunate to make it out of that melee we just saw. Marco Andretti, not one of them. What was your issue here?
Well, unfortunately, but fortunately, I mean, I did make it through, and that would have been our break. I mean, Dad and Matt did a good job of strategy. We would have been sitting about 10th. But I was struggling with, I think an oil line finally was coming loose, and then finally it did because it wouldn't let me take gears, and something happened with the alternator. It was confusing the system. So, you know, frustrating day for the Snapple guys, but, you know, it'd be nice to finish the season off with another win or two for sure.
And all of that was your trouble going into turn one?
No, turn one, I mean, happened way ahead of me. Oh, sorry, yeah, turn one. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it was happening kind of before that, too. But, yeah, happened there, too.
And why do you think, compared to your teammates, you struggle on these courses as opposed to, say, Ryan Hunter-Reay?
Well, I mean, I've been trying to drive his car, and I'm overly aggressive. I need to drive more to the tire, and I'm overdoing it on entry, so I'm saying the car's loose, and he's not. So it's been really frustrating for me, and I have a lot of homework to do. But we're definitely going to go to work in the off-season and come back ready.
Wally, an unfortunate day for Marco. This is a home race for him.
And, you know, I would think that Marco would really be good on these type of the street courses just because he is so aggressive. And I mean, we talked about it earlier, how you have to attack these racetracks. So I'm really surprised he was off the pace here.
What a driver needs that attacks. We did that little Professor B earlier where you talk about the front of the car, the support, the anti-roll bars. A person who attacks needs stiffer springs. They need what they call support. If you're going to come in there and really attack, it takes a different setup. So if Ryan Hunter-Reay doesn't attack as much as Andretti, they can't really drive the same setup. So all of a sudden Ryan Hunter-Reay says, I have a setup that flies here. Well, that's very difficult for a Marco Andretti to drive because he's going to have to adapt his style now to Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Yep. Problem is you can't really go too stiff on this place.
Right.
Just because it's so rough. I mean, so you almost have to run a soft setup here just because of the bumps.
3 of the Andretti Autosport drivers have wins this year. Marco is 7th in points after a win in Iowa. Ryan Hunter-Reay 8th after a win in Loudon. Danica Patrick is 12th in the point standings, and Mike Conway, the winner of Long Beach, is 17th in the standings of the 2011 IZOD IndyCar Series at the inaugural Grand Prix of Baltimore.
It is a perfect day, a Sunday afternoon in Baltimore. Hey, Wally, there's a party at my yacht if you want to come by later. You coming?
Nope.
Oh, come on, Wally. Why don't you come and hang out with me at my yacht after this race? Hey, Graham Rahal's team just talked to him about this restart that is coming up. Here is the restart that just happened moments ago, and they said, Graham, whatever you do, don't approach it like you did the last one. They said right here, you cut off Dario Franchitti and got in front of him. You almost knocked the nose off his car. That would hurt him and us. Keep in mind, that's our teammate back there, and we don't want to take ourselves out of the race either. Tim Keene said, be very smart on this final restart. You still have a car that can win the race. Don't take yourself out of it.
whether you have a teammate or not, that's not what you want to hear.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to hear about my teammate. I don't care if he's win the championship or lead the championship or not.
Ryan Hunter-Reay rejoins the competition after being damaged in that incident.
And Bob, it's a good time to review why they chose the order they did. Is that those that were involved in the incident, like Ryan Hunter-Reay, he got turned around. He lost all those positions. But someone who came around turn 3 and got stopped and blocked, and other people came sailing through when other people were stopped, those are the positions that they gave back. Those are the ones that they found from the previous timeline, but they don't give it back to Ryan Hunter-Reay, who was involved in the initial incident. It was just those who came to a blocked track and couldn't get around. So watch Briscoe, who looks as though he's going to be going up the outside. At the last moment, he dives in and makes contact. So Ryan Hunter-Reay here is involved in an incident. These people that get through initially will keep their spots, but anybody who slices around the outside, or in this case, watch Kanaan. Kanaan just goes through and passes all those cars. That's what they made those drivers give back. So anyone who stopped, Danica Patrick, Saavedra, Andretti, all these, they put that order back to how they were when they were approaching turn 3, which they said they'd do in the driver's meeting.
If they didn't, Kanaan would be in the Guinness Book of World Records for passing the most Indy cars in one corner.
In one corner.
Kevin?
Helio Castroneves was one of those innocent bystanders. He came into the melee late, didn't make contact with anything, but was trapped, stalled the car, and it took so long to get restarted that he lost a lap. So no damage. So Castroneves was furious on the radio. Part of the frustration of the day that he wasn't involved in anything but still lost a lap. Part of that frustration stems back to this morning. The team, Penske and also KV, were told after their crashes this morning that they would be able to keep their starting position, and that's one of the reasons why Penske decided to go to the backup car. Tim Cindric at the time had told me that if we were going to have to lose a spot, we could have repaired that primary car. They were already too far in to going to the backup before they did learn that they were going to have to go all the way to the back.
So Helio will come out in 20th position. Ahead of him is Ryan Hunter-Reay in 19th. It's been a long yellow. We should be thinking about going back to the green soon. 1 to go at the line, so one more lap. 48 laps have been completed in this race. Will Power is the leader over Graham Rahal, Dario Franchitti, Ryan Briscoe, and E.J. Viso. We have had a couple of caution flags here in the most recent going.
Every yellow lap run here, Jan, I think, works into Servia's plan because it gives them less time to gap that 20 seconds. What did you say they needed? 20-some seconds?
You need 30 because you lose 27. So if you need some fuel, and of course the reason we're saying Servia, you heard Tim Keen say it, Servia is the lead car that has made a pit stop that could make it to the end. Everyone else in the front, they've got to stand on it and build a gap.
And right now he's in 10th, guys, and what he put on when he came to pit road were scuffed red tires. So they've already had a heat cycle on them. In theory, that should make them last a little bit longer, but I just checked with the team. They do not plan on pitting again. So if Servia can hang out there, keep Kanaan behind him, he might be in good shape to win this thing. That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Well, the biggest thing, Martin, he's just got to try to not have Power have such a gap on him. That's the guy he's got to be concerned right now is Will Power. He wants to be able to, when Power comes back out after his pit stop, he wants to be in, or Servia wants to be in the lead.
And we are hearing that Ryan Briscoe will be penalized for avoidable contact and making contact with Ryan Hunter-Reay. He'll go to the end of the line. So Ryan Briscoe has been penalized.
And that's a good call. I think that's the right call because Hunter-Reay got penalized for that same thing at Barber. So if you're going to be fair, you got to do it with everybody. So that was the right call.
Meanwhile, we apparently are going to go back to green here.
They'll form up again. Single file through the chicane, then 2 by 2. We'll see if Rahal follows the advice of his team.
I bet he doesn't.
Here we go. The lineup.
Oh, he did not get a very good start.
Oh, look at Franchitti.
Yeah, Franchitti's going to be on the inside of him.
Franchitti might go to second.
Oh, no.
Don't touch. Oh, they touched, but he kept going.
Dario kept going, but is going to lose a couple of positions, it looks like.
But he's going to lose some positions.
Yeah. Here he is trying to get back.
Now, is Briscoe still in that position?
Yes, he is.
Given it up.
Yep.
Gimbal down on the bottom. Getting under Hildebrand. Maybe.
Everybody through.
Now, why wouldn't they have him serve that? I know they like to serve, and that's, of course, Servia working his way through traffic.
Kanaan right with him.
Tony Kanaan is in 11th.
Oh, wow. There was some contact.
Yep.
That was Kimball.
Kimball goes to pit lane.
I'm not sure I don't think he can make the corner. Yeah.
It's a runoff in turn 5. And now Ryan Briscoe is doing his drive-through because they want to serve penalties under green. I understand that, but they left him up there for that restart, which is a little dodgy if you know you've got to do your drive-through. But at least that is consistent, Wally. That is how they did it in Barber as well. You have to serve your penalty under green.
Yep. And the penalty has been served, so Briscoe back in competition.
Just doing what you got to do here. We'll do what we got to do here.
Here's the onboard camera with Dario. Look at the contact there, but with Graham Rahal.
Yeah, that's pretty big there. But I got to give it to Graham. Listen, Graham's got a shot at winning this race. So, like I said, you don't think about your teammates when you're in this position. You don't want to wreck them, of course, but you're not going to give them any more room than you have to.
And Dario's not going to be happy about that. Dario's saying, hey, you know, #1 rule in racing, don't take out your teammate. You almost took me out. I'm trying to run for a championship here.
Yep.
And I'm Graham saying, you know what? Hey, I'm trying to run for a victory here. So
I love it.
Every man for himself.
I love it. That was great.
Simona De Silvestro running 4th. There's E.J. Viso, J.R. Hildebrand, then Servia coming up to 7th. Kanaan up to 8th.
Hey, Tim, let's stay with that 10 car. Focus forward, doing a great job.
Lindy.
Listening to Simona all weekend, from the second she got here on Friday, she immediately got in the car, did a few laps, and said, this car does not feel bad at all, and it just got better and better. Remember, she told us in the pre-race that the only changes they made overnight were for her on the red tires because she wasn't comfortable. She is very comfortable on them now. You see right now she's on the blacks, but she started on the reds. Obviously a good day for her, guys.
She's good on these tracks. She's, you know, good at St. Pete. Had the fastest lap in San Pablo. I mean, she's in the Brazil race. She gets around the street courses.
There is Briscoe back in, this time for a tire change and a fill-up.
That is because you may not perform service when you do a drive-through. As long as you're at the back, now go ahead and do your service in case you catch a caution.
Interesting race so far. Up front, it is still Power leading Rahal.
And we'll be watching the gap, Bob, because you lose, the teams told me, 27 seconds when you peel onto pit road. Now, that's without the stop. So you have to add the pit stop to that. So you're going to be 30 in the low 30s. That's the gap they're looking for.
Marty.
Well, guys, they are encouraging Graham Rahal to use as much push to pass as he can. And while it's exactly what you talked about, the further we ran under caution, the less time they have now to gap the rest of the field. And when they give him his lap times, it's compared to Servia. Not to third place, but to Servia. That's who we're waiting for as the camera pans back. Here he comes. There's Oriol Servia. That's who they're giving him lap times to, where Oriol Servia is, not where third place Dario Franchitti is.
And Marty, Servia's got to run really, really hard, because it's not just coming out in front of Power and those guys. He's got to build a bigger gap. He needs the biggest gap he can get, because those guys are going to come out of the pits with better tires, and they're faster cars. So, I mean, Servia's got to be driving like his tail's on fire right now.
And we'll track that, because right now, Servia's gap is 11 seconds. And it was 8 the previous lap, so he lost 3 seconds to the leaders because of traffic. That's not what you want.
This is J.R. Hildebrand running 7th, right behind Oriol.
And it's worth following this. This could be a race for a potential win.
Right.
Depending on what happens with pit strategy.
And there's Tony Kanaan and Castro Neves. Oriol Servia has only visited victory lane in the IndyCars one time. That was in Montreal in 2005.
And Bob, you mentioned that Castro Neves is a lap down, so that one's not for position.
Castro Neves is 19th, the first car not on the lead lap.
But Kanaan, that is for position.
Oh, yeah.
So he and Hildebrand, those three, if you count Servia, it's kind of a race within a race right now, depending on who can pit when.
Well, you talked about in the open how this is a race that could give somebody who hasn't won ever or recently might win, and could be the situation with Oriol Servia.
Bob, when they cross, I should say, the start-finish line, let's see, we'll wait for Servia. Now it's 14 seconds. He lost another 3. You can't lose 3 seconds a lap, Wally. He's got to somehow not let that gap get so big.
Here it comes.
So it was 11, 14, and it just keeps incrementing.
Yeah, 6 or 7 laps, Power's going to have enough gap built up if he continues to lose 3 laps a second.
Now, part of it is they're heavier on fuel, and that's why you say, well, why can't Servia stay within 3 seconds of Power? Well, he's running a car that's heavier on fuel, and it does make a difference.
There's Simona De Silvestro in 4th. Viso in 5th, and here's Servia and Hildebrand.
And Bob, the other thing, because of all that caution, the leaders now have to pit sooner than they would like. In fact, Graham Rahal probably having to pit in 3 laps, so they're trying to make that gap up to 30 seconds. They're never going to get there to 30 seconds, but they've got 3 laps before they come to pit road.
Well, Marty, that would surprise me, because they should be able to go much farther than that. I'd be surprised if Graham, well, if they're telling you that's when they pit, that's when they got to pit.
Non-stop break for you on Versus with 21 laps to go, with Will Power leading Rahal, Franchitti, De Silvestro, and Viso. Dario Franchitti is running 3rd in the race, trying to win the championship, and he is trying, going over the curbs and getting the car off the ground. The interval between Franchitti and Power in the championship, as it stands right now, the separation is just 8 points. Franchitti with an 8-point advantage on the leader of this race, Will Power. That's a cool shot, isn't it? Yeah. Here comes Will,
who is continuing to pull out at 3-second intervals.
We anticipate a pit stop by Graham Rahal. They are all laid out, ready for him.
Well, that ain't going to be enough there, Jan.
No, because right now Power has a 20-second gap, and Rahal has less. So if Rahal pits now, he is not coming out in 2nd spot. That whole train may go by on him.
They're approaching pit entrance. Let's see what Graham does. And he does come in. Rahal is on pit lane, relinquishing his 2nd place, Marty.
Well, Bob, pit stops that could decide the race here. Remember the last time on pit road, this team lost time to Will Power. We'll see where they cycle out. It will be sticker blacks requested by Graham Rahal. He feels like those will be better at the end of the run. Get it full of fuel. They waited a long time on the right rear. Let's see where he cycles out with everybody else.
And there goes that train, Marty. That did not work. They didn't build a big enough gap. He loses all these spots.
Going to come out somewhere around 13th or 14th. Mira is running 13th, so Rahal will be in 14th position.
He'll be able to pick a few of these off.
And here's Ryan Hunter-Reay running with him. And Hunter-Reay moves around him.
So Will Power knows he needs, I mean, they knew that already just by looking and doing the math. He needs quite a bit more of a gap, or he's going to be in the same scenario. Not that far back. See what his gap is now. 24. Ooh, he's still pulling that 3 seconds a lap.
Yep, almost 25 seconds.
He needs a couple more laps.
He is. Hey, this guy's fun to watch.
And he knows. I mean, he knows every single lap before he pits right now is a difference between winning and losing. This is like qualifying. That's the way he drove in qualifying. He's getting everything out of this car because he knows they still need another 5 seconds or so.
look at the gap between himself and Dario Franchitti running in second spot. It's more than 6 seconds. Simona De Silvestro is still running third and EJ Viso fourth, and then comes Oriol Servia. And Hildebrand is in, Lindy.
And he comes in and hits his marks. They have the red tires there waiting on him. Remember, J.R. Hildebrand now has TK's old engineer Michael Cannon on his side on the pit stand. He is down and out in 7.9.
Did he not come in with the other?
No, he must not have. I thought he was on the same sequence of those cars he was racing with. That would be why he was so racy behind Oriol Servia, because he would have been much lighter on fuel.
We anticipate Will Power coming to pit lane this time.
The gap is 26 now, Bob.
Looks like that Hildebrand pitted in a handicap area. Do you see the marker there on pit lane?
There he is. Here we go.
Here he is.
Boy, he charged that pit lane.
I think he may lose the lead, but he's not going to lose nearly the positions.
Watch the oil.
That Graham Rahal did.
Here comes Servia.
Keep an eye on Servia.
Down to Kevin.
All right, hit our marks here.
Split screen, we see Oriol Servia on top. Here's Will Power. He's got the pit exit. He had said before this race that he was a little bit concerned about getting up to speed, having this first pit exit. Here comes Power. We'll keep an eye on Oriol Servia. This is turn 8 is the pit exit, and there comes Servia around, and it looks like Power is going to be able to hang on to the advantage.
He is going to make it.
Perfectly done.
How about that?
Well, he definitely shaved a little time off what the team had said you'd lose on pit road. Oh, you know why? Because as of this morning, they changed where the pit speed was. They used to have the pit speed limit.
You could run in faster and
yes,
harder.
they changed that this morning. So the numbers that the engineers had of the 27 seconds was when there was a pit speed from right where you peeled off. Well, they moved those barrels this morning, and that was just a couple of seconds that Will Power needed to get himself back out in the lead.
Now here's a leader. When is Dario going to have to pit?
Now.
Okay. Thank you, Wally. Let's see. You're absolutely right. Very
Just
good.
ask, Bob. I'll give you an answer. It may not be the right one. I'll give you an answer.
There were the Sunoco cones just as you made the right. So we had 2 corners at speed that made the difference.
Kevin Lee.
In the Kellogg's car this weekend as Dario Franchitti continues to amass driver uniform collection. Here he's trying to amass his 5th win of the year and hang on to a pretty decent lead in the championship. He's near pit out, but about 6 stalls back behind Will Power. Simona De Silvestro is back in the race now, and here goes Dario Franchitti. Let's see where he comes out in relation to the leaders.
Here goes Kanan by him. Did Servia get by him?
Yeah, Servia's by.
So. Yep.
Servia's gone by.
Going to come out ahead of Dixon, his teammate.
That shows you how important that gap was, because Will Power went back to the lead, but Dario Franchitti now may lose another spot to his teammate, but no, Dixon thinks better of that.
That was very nice of Mr. Dixon.
Now the leader of the race is Simona De Silvestro, but she will be needing a pit stop soon. And that will cycle then back to Power, Servia, Kanan running in 3rd place. Simona running first. Danica Patrick is 8th in this event, and Anna Beatrice is running in 18th. And ooh, Simona almost missed the corner, didn't she?
Yeah, she's trying.
Yeah.
Well, they've told her you need a gap. You got to have a gap.
Right on the mark.
And here comes Simona. Moving through those slick areas. Lindy, here comes Simona.
And as Will Power goes right by Simona, having to give up that lead for some tires and fuel. They were telling her before this, remember, Simona, you just need to focus forward this entire time. That's what they expect her to do, as they take these red tires and fuel and send her out on her way. And it looks like she lost quite a few spots, Bob.
Do you need that much fuel? With 15 laps? I mean, it seemed like they filled it. I was just wondering.
You shouldn't need to fill it.
It should have been a short fill.
It looks looks like Will Power would have no concerns over fuel pitting this late, but he was just told by Tim Cindric, keep hitting your numbers. So they likely short-filled him a little bit there to try to save some time on pit road. So the drama's not quite done yet. Will Power is going to have to go a little bit less than full throttle the rest of the way to conserve just a touch to make sure he makes it to the end.
All right. Well, they knew how important that was. Wally, I just did the math on that question. Simona would have needed 11.9 gallons, which takes 3.4 seconds of fuel. They definitely give it way more.
That was a long pit stop.
I think they filled it all the way.
Yeah.
Looks like Simona came out in 14th position. For those of you keeping score, she went from 1st to 14th. Will continue to bounce off the curbs on the pit straight once again on the 61st lap of this race with a 5.2-second advantage on Oriol Servia. 14 laps to go. Stay with us. Will Power be able to hold on for the victory? We'll be back on Versus. Welcome back to the streets of Baltimore. In the championship battle, the past 5 races, Will Power had a 55-point deficit after Toronto, and now going into this race, the margin was 26. Right now, as they run on the racetrack, the interval between first and second in the points championship is just 5. With 3 races to go after this one.
Maximum point day today if he pulls it off.
That's right. He's already gotten the 2 for leading the most laps and won yesterday for the pole. So maybe another clean sweep as it was in Sonoma for Will Power. Here's the interval way back there is Oriol Servia. 7.5 seconds according to the scoring. And how about Tony Kanaan, who is running in 3rd after having a terrifying crash in the morning warm-up and starting in 27th position. He has come up to run 3rd.
And wow, Dario just did another flying act across those curbs. He definitely wants to try. He knows what the points implications will be if he doesn't gain a few more.
All right, let's do a through the field here as Will is showing the way, guys.
And Will Power has been told he's now okay on fuel. No concerns about that. Just take care of the tires. Penske has 30 street course victories out of their 158. Will Power is looking for number 7 of his 15 career if he indeed can hang on and get to victory lane here today. Marty?
Wow, how about this day for Oriol Servia? Pitted at lap 42. It was the right call. They put scuffed reds on. He is hanging on in 2nd position. And remember when we talk championship, it's just not the battle for the lead in the championship. He's battling Ryan Briscoe for 4th. This will be a huge day for Oriol Servia if he can hang there, Lindy.
And what a day for Tony Kanaan. A big crash in the morning warm-up. Works for up until the last minute to get his car ready to come out here. After the last pit stop, Mark Johnson told him 99% chance you're going to make it on fuel. Now they're saying, we need fuel mileage out of you. And Kevin, he has to get a specific number to make it.
And we may still have a battle for that position. We see Dario Franchitti about 2 car lengths behind. He wasn't thoroughly thrilled with the car in qualifying. Went off course a couple of times in qualifying, so pretty good to survive to make the Firestone Fast 6 yesterday. Franchitti running in 4th, and then Scott Dixon, his teammate, is right behind him in 5th position. Also not bad considering for Dixon. He had a good car all weekend, but they missed something in qualifying, and they were pretty baffled. Dixon started in 10th. He's worked his way back up to 5th position. Lindy?
Takuma Sato behind him, involved in that big incident earlier, and he had to come in and get a new front wing, then come right back in and get topped off on fuel. Now they're telling him you have more fuel than the guys in front of you, and you have all your push to passes, so use whatever you need.
Well, for Alex Tagliani, Lindy, he told me this morning, he said everything we changed on the car this weekend just seemed to make us go backwards. But fortunately, they were in that wreck a little while ago. Pitted, changed the nose, put the red tires on. Holding on right now, car not quite to his liking, but hanging in there in the top 10, Lindy.
Danica said from the beginning she was not counting herself out on this one. Even though she doesn't really like these road and street courses, she says anything can happen on a street course. And, of course, she wants to win something before she leaves, and she thinks it's more than possible to happen here. This year she has 1 top 5 and 7 top 10s. Behind her, Vitor Meira coming off of a very tough weekend at Sonoma. He started 28th, had to race on fuel strategy. That did not pay off. He said this weekend they have to regroup because he's still alive in the championship for the top 10, and he is not giving up on it. And behind him, Hunter Ray. He has been told he might not have enough fuel to make this. He was also involved in that incident earlier, but I guess really who wasn't? He thinks he has an advantage here because he knows he's good on these types of courses, Marty.
Well, Lindy, some haunting words from Graham Rahal before the race when he told me we've had fast cars week after week. We just can't seem to get the finishes. Boy, does that summarize this day for Graham Rahal. Clearly the second best car here all day long, but the fuel strategy did not work. He may not wind up in the top 10 today unless he can pass some of those guys in front of him. Great day for Martin Plowman, however. Last week at Infineon, he finished 12th, his career best finish here in the IndyCar Series. Another 12th place run going right now. Impressive once again for Martin Plowman, Lindy.
So far, Sebastian Saavedra's best finish this season was 11. That was on a street course in Sao Paulo, and he believes that learning new tracks is his main strength. So maybe he's up to something here. He said he's really been enjoying developing the car in places that he's never been this season. And right behind him, Simona Di Silvestro. Number one, she's happy to just be back in the country racing, but also specifically here because back before the beginning of the season when they announced a 3-year sponsorship deal with Energy, this is where that was because it's a big market for her sponsor, and she has a lot of guests here watching, Marty.
Lindy, a little surprised EJ Viso is this far back. He ran most of the race in the top 10, and after the first stint, they stayed out longer than everybody else. That worked. They got up to 6 as high as that, and now they've fallen back through the field. Currently, they're out of the top 10. EJ struggling with the handling of the car, and J.R. Hildebrand has really struggled today with the handling of the car as well. He also played that strategy, trying to stay out longer than everybody else, but for some reason on this final stint, that strategy just didn't pay off, Kevin.
Ryan Briscoe's race was ruined through the penalty a little while ago, dropped him from running in the top 5 to running back in the 17th position. He's had a rough weekend. Not only the crash on Friday, he said today earlier on before the penalty that with all the bumps it felt like he was driving a Mack truck. So an opportunity to score some points. Not going to happen today for Ryan Briscoe. Marty?
Kevin, somewhere way back there is Anna Beatrice, and I mean way back there. And she told me before the race, I have just really struggled with getting used to this racetrack. There she is coming around the corner right now. The final car on the lead lap. Actually, that's not her. She'll be coming here in a second. There she is, finally. She said, I just haven't gotten used to this bumpy racetrack, and you guys have talked about it. Very rough to get a hold of. In fact, on Friday, she said it was so rough, her hands were knocked off the wheel in this section right here where the concrete is. Not a bad day, though.
And those are the drivers on the lead lap. Those a lap down, Castro Neves, Carpenter, Kimball, Schechter, Conway, and Hinchcliffe out of the race. Andretti, Pontido, Jakes, and Bourdais. 7 laps to go in the inaugural Baltimore Grand Prix. It's Will Power with now a 10.5-second advantage on Oriol Servia. This guy gets it done on street and road courses and on, well, any kind of road course, street or road course.
That too.
Back here in second place, they run pretty close for second, third, fourth, and fifth.
And you know Frankie wants to get past Tony.
Oh, yeah. Any position he can gain is just a little more points.
Off the racetrack, they are very good friends. But normally, all these guys set that aside when it comes race day.
69 laps now complete. Meanwhile, back here with Mira, Rahal, Plowman. Again, Martin Plowman, right you are, as James Hinchcliffe has had problems since the incident there a few laps ago.
Yeah, Bob, he had an upper and lower wishbone issue, so it took them 12 laps to repair the car. They went back out because they're still very focused on this rookie championship battle. They came in just 3 behind J.R. Hildebrand, and at one point they were running 11. They were 3 or 4 spots ahead of Hildebrand, so they could have come out of here with the points lead for the rookie battle. One positive to report, remember earlier in the year when his deal was announced, he missed the race at St. Pete. He wasn't supposed to go to Brazil. They decided to do that after a good showing at Long Beach, and now we can tell you that they will be going to Japan. That's just been confirmed thanks to their sponsors Sprott and Newman Haas, so he will still have an opportunity to battle for the rookie championship. And Hinch told me that things are looking good towards next year, and he thinks there's a very good chance he's going to be back at Newman Haas in 2012 as he climbs out today with no more spots that can be gained.
I hope he's back.
Yeah, he's been really impressive.
Yeah, good guy. And he's had great runs. He just hasn't had the finishes just because of some bad luck. But he's done a pretty darn good job.
Speaking of runs, Rahal is quite close to Mira. He goes up the inside.
Second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Sato running in 6th spot. There's Takuma. Remember, he started the back of the field also.
And sometimes he's actually caught these guys. He wasn't even in the picture about 4 laps ago, so he's there.
It's one thing to catch, another to pass.
Especially this bunch. All these guys are fast. You're just in this pack here in this train. You're just waiting for just one guy to make one little mistake so you can capitalize on it. Just like I said, this bunch here normally doesn't make mistakes very often.
Still bouncing over the curbs with 4 laps to go. We've had 5 leaders and 7 lead changes in this race. The leaders have been Power, Franchitti, Del Silvestro, Hunter Ray, and Briscoe.
And you would have to say, other than the Briscoe incident in turn 3, these drivers have been very well behaved today on a very, very tricky racetrack.
Yeah, we all expected to be a lot of cautions today. Starting at the first lap, first turn. But it's proven to be a pretty good racetrack.
Four different teams in the top 4 as they run. Penske, Newman Haas, KV, and Ganassi. 7 different teams in the top 10. Ryan Hunter-Ray has moved up to 8th position, passing Danica Patrick.
See that Rahal was still behind Mira, so he had made that move, but he did duck in behind, so he stays in that spot.
Here's the pass that Ryan Hunter-Ray made on Danica Patrick. And right behind them was Mira and Rahal, and you see they continue to run in that order. Sunday afternoon drive for Will.
I tell you, he's going to start making those Ganassi guys pretty nervous.
Yes.
I mean, you know, Franchitti had a pretty good lead 3 races ago, and all of a sudden, he's looking in the rearview mirror, and Power is right there. 5 points right now.
Yeah, looks like the championship is going to be up for grabs until the final race. Next, of course, is Japan, followed by Kentucky, and then Las Vegas.
And, of course, Japan typically was not a good track on the oval, at least championship-wise, for Penske. When you think about what happened to Ryan Briscoe a couple of years ago leaving the pits, same thing for Power. But because of the earthquake, they'll be on the road course. So that is definitely an advantage Power.
Yep. Good point.
Well, that's definitely something out of your control when you realize you look at a championship and you have that kind of international event and they move it to a road course. But then again, they haven't run yet. Who knows? Maybe that's a track that would favor Ganassi team, and then everything changes.
Yep.
I will say, since we're mentioning Japan, they load these cars up in 3 days. They take them to get ready to go to Japan. The first day of delivery is Wednesday. These guys are going to be very busy.
Well, and besides that, a week ago today, they were 2,904 miles away from this place. And everybody made it by Wednesday to begin setup. So not only hats off to the drivers, but to the crews and the truck drivers who drove cross country, and for that matter, for the TV crew, because they drove cross country. Guys, great job this week, and thank you.
And the crews wanted us to pass on that they just felt very welcomed when they came to Baltimore. They said, be sure you say on the broadcast, these fans welcomed us and have been so...
Oops. I was just wondering what happened to Sato, and there you have it. Wow.
Oh, he's still running, though.
Still running. Good. So no full course caution here.
This is where they stall it, though.
Oh, but that's the same thing that happened to him on one of the practice sessions. He backed up fine, but then it killed when he tried to go forward.
He's dead in the water.
Now, they may be able to pull him back. They may not have to go full course caution here.
Turn 3, drivers left. White flag.
White flag, one more lap to go. I don't believe they will go full course caution. It will be a local yellow only as we ride with Will Power down into turn number 1. Sato is down here in turn 3.
Stay way right. Back up. Slow down, slow down, slow down. Stay way right. Stay right.
Slow down.
Okay.
There you go. Good job.
You got a big gap. Slow down. Slow down.
Unbelievable ride for Will Power here this afternoon. He's 11 seconds ahead of his closest rival, Oriol Servia. And here is Patrick again.
But was that under caution?
Oh,
she made that move going into that corner, and the yellow flag was out. They may take that one away from Danica.
Good point. It's Alex Tagliani running right ahead of them. Now E.J. Viso is off course.
Well, all of a sudden, the last lap for the Lotus guys.
Yeah, the 2K car, 2 of the 3 are off course. Meanwhile, here is Will Power moving off of corner number 12. And the dream for Baltimore has been realized today. And for Will Power, his dream of winning another race in the battle for the championship has come true as he wins the inaugural Baltimore Grand Prix. And the crowd goes wild. Oriol Servia finishes second. Tony Kanaan, Franchitti, Dixon. Tagliani finishes in 6th position. And hugs all around in the Penske crew as Will Power has won again. And Marty is with Tim Cindric.
Well, let's chat with him, and I know he was pacing for a while today. That was a little dicey, wasn't it? But you told Will that was all him. Why?
Well, right there where they had that long yellow, we weren't anticipating about a dozen laps of yellow there. When that occurs, it's a mixed bag for everybody because we knew those guys could make it to the end. But, you know, we needed to be in a position to where we hoped it went all green. But he was going to have to gain 2 to 3 seconds a lap on Servia to be able to beat those guys back out. He did the job, man. I got to take my hat off to him, man. He was awesome. Just unbelievable.
We followed that whole story as that was going on, so we knew what kind of gap you had to get. But what kind of statement has this team made in the last 2 races, championship-wise, Tim?
Well, I can't say enough about the Verizon guys. I mean, these guys have been doing it all year long. And, yeah, we've had some bumps in the road, but, you know, when it's crunch time, they've been able to deliver every day, every race. And, you know, I can't say enough about these guys. And, you know, I want to say hello to Scott Remke, too. He's struggling a little bit, and we're thinking about him a lot.
All right. Obviously, heavy hearts for the Penske team, but they do their job today. They cut that championship lead to 5, Bob.
Good championship battle, but for Will Power, it's his 6th win of the 2011 campaign and his 15th career win. Back with more in a moment from Baltimore. Things return to a little more serene here in Baltimore as the race has been won. And the winner of the event here in Baltimore this afternoon, Will Power. Let's go down to Kevin Lee.
What an impressive run for Will Power with Team Penske. Since he won at Edmonton in 2009, that's 19 races on road and street courses. He has 11 wins and 15 podiums out of those 19 races. on the side pod of the Verizon car. Everybody give him some space. He's going to want to launch himself off the side of this car. Will Power, a winner here in the inaugural race on the streets of Baltimore, and he looks a little bit spent. He said the back's too much, I'm not sure. And there's the Will Power leap. Tim Cindric just said you earned this one. That I think took a lot out of everybody.
Oh man, that was the toughest race I've done all year. Honestly, never driven so hard my whole life. They said you got 10 laps to get a gap enough if you want to win this thing. And I just gave it absolutely everything I had, everything. And just got to thank Verizon, Maya. I mean, they're the people that make this possible, and I'm exhausted.
Let's go back to the start of this race. Graham got by you in turn number 1, and then you got him back. You're going to see it here.
Yeah, Graham did a great move on the outside. Then I got straight back behind him and outbraked him into the hairpin. It was a good battle there for a couple of corners.
And then the long caution threw a lot of things up in the air because Dixon and Servia were going to be able to get to the rest of the way. We didn't think that was going to be possible for them.
Yeah, that was it was concerning me. The further that went, that we're not going to have enough laps to pull a gap. But like I said, I went for it. That's a championship run. That one. That was thinking in my head, I want to win this championship.
So what did you think about this event, the course and the massive crowd that we have?
Unbelievable crowd. This is probably the best street course that we've done all year. Best street race. I've never seen such an atmosphere. It reminds me of Surfers Paradise in Australia.
And now 5 back in the championship. I admit, I thought it was about done a few weeks ago. Obviously, I'm wrong.
No, we're coming. Man, city of Baltimore, awesome.
Congratulations. Will Power, the winner here in the streets of Baltimore. Marty?
Well, to say Graham Rahal is disappointed is an understatement. He's been shaking his head since he got out of the car. Graham, how did this one slip away?
Just, just the strategy, which wasn't our fault. The officiating was terrible, if you ask me, in the sense.
Why?
In the sense that, why did we stay yellow for so long? There was no reason. There was no cars on the track, nothing wrong, until the oil. But we didn't need to stay yellow for 10 laps. And quite frankly, they're sitting there saying that, they're trying to sort out where the 27 belongs, and line needs 3 laps down. I mean, Barnhart said in the driver's meeting he wasn't going to wait to figure that out. Well, I mean, honestly, that's what hurt us, because we needed about 10, 12 laps of hard running to pull that gap. And unfortunately, we just didn't get that. But I'm really disappointed for the Service Central guys, because I mean, this car was, between Will and I, we were the class of the field. I mean, you look at the fastest lap times. I mean, we've got everybody covered by more than half a second. And, it's a shame it didn't just stay green, because I think we had something for him at the end of the stints, and it just didn't work out.
Was it mostly the oil at the end of pit road you felt you should have been made aware of? Because I know Tim thought if he'd have known that, he would have pitted.
Yeah, no, we would have, for sure. If they had said, hey, you know what, there's a lot of oil on the track, we're probably going to be down another 5, 6, 7 laps, then I understand. But the oil didn't come on the track for about 5 laps into the yellow. So that's my point, is why were we waiting so long there? It's just a shame. I mean, some days it's just not your day. But unfortunately, it's another weekend that, we had all these guys beat, and just didn't work out.
I know also to battle that, your foot went numb in the car, is that correct?
Yeah, we changed seats 2 races ago, and ever since then, my left foot just goes numb. I don't know, there's got to be something in the seat, but about lap 30 it started to go numb, and by the end it's just excruciating pain, and that's why I couldn't pass a lot of guys at the end. I couldn't press the brake pedal hard enough, so it's a shame.
Add to that, blisters all over his hands. Rough day for Graham Rahal. Lindy?
For Oriol Servia, good day for him, finishing second. In fact, you came out of your final pit stop thinking you could win this thing. When did you realize there was no catching Will?
Well, Power has more willpower than anybody. Even today was our race, and we never gave up. I crashed in qualifying, so we started at the back, but the car was great. The strategy was even better. Newman has always worked hard, and we're bringing Dalemundo to the podium, which is great.
Could you feel TK breathing down your neck?
Yes, but I knew he had the same strategy, and he had to save fuel like I had, so I knew if I wasn't making any mistakes, the podium was ours, so it was awesome.
You were pretty much having to save fuel the entire time.
Yes, since we pitted early in the first stop, we knew we were kind of committing to that. We're hoping for even more yellows, but we had just enough, so it was great. And power ran away, but we got a good podium for the team, and I'm very happy.
Oriol managing to stay out of trouble. Now his third podium of the season. Kevin?
Lindy, the story of the day may be this man right here, Tony Kanaan, from Airborne at 8:41 this morning, starting at the back of the field. You picked up 24 positions to finish on the podium. How did you do that?
Well, I didn't do it alone, but it was a great race pace. Good strategies from the Geico KV guys, and a lot of hard work, Kevin. I mean, I can't take my guys enough for rebuilding a car. We made a human mistake this morning, but we fixed it, and that's, I think, it's my strength. I mean, my entire career is being drama, then happy endings. So I'm extremely happy. This is Geico's headquarters are in Washington. Everybody's here for the first time in the year. So it helps a lot, especially nowadays sponsorship is so difficult, that especially what I went through in the end of the year. So I'm very happy. I'm very happy.
You know, the event's fantastic, a huge crowd here. How about from the driver's perspective in this course?
Awesome track, awesome track. You know, the crowd is unbelievable. We want a race where people come to watch us, and track is rough, and that's what we get paid. And you know, I would say as a first event, it was a huge success. There's a couple things that we can always improve, but this is the price of a new track. So you know, hands down to all the people in Baltimore, everybody that came to watch the race, all the organizers, because it was a great event.
How many Tony Kanaan fans around us here? I think we got a few. All right, he moves up a spot in the points, up to 5th in the championship. Bob?
Yes, he does. He moves to 5th. Ryan Briscoe down to 6th position. Everybody in the top 4 stays the same. Ryan Hunter-Reay gains a spot up to 7th. Marco down to 8th. And Elio and Graham remain in 9th and 10th position in the championship points battle. We have a lot more drivers to talk to when we return to Baltimore, Maryland.
Welcome back to beautiful Baltimore. The very first Grand Prix over. Our winner, Will Power. 2nd place, Oriol Servia. And in 3rd place, Tony Kanaan, which you would not expect after his day starting last. Let's take a look at where things stand with Dario Franchitti and Will Power. You see Dario has 4 wins, Will 6, Dario 2 poles, Will 7, and I'm here with Dario Franchitti as we look at that. I know you don't like to talk about points. Are you worried now, though? There's 3 left.
I've been worried since the first race. I think you always go out and do your best. You know, getting stressed about it though doesn't make you go any faster. You just go out each week, do your best. That's what we've done when we've won the last 3 championships, and that's what we'll do this time and see how it works out.
Do you think you're better than him on the ovals?
I think on any given day, either of us is as good on the road course or the street course or the oval as the other. When we get the car working the way we like it and we get in that rhythm, him or I, Dixon, Elio, Tony, Brian, there's a very similar level there, and I have a lot of respect for him, and I'm doing my damnedest to beat him.
As for this race, did you actually have contact with Graham, or was it just really close?
No, I had contact with the inside wall, trying to stay away from Graham. I caught the inside wall, so no, I didn't hit Graham.
I just saw you guys talking. What did you talk about?
Oh, I was just telling him I thought he drove a hell of a race. That was I thought he did fantastically. He was on the limit every lap today. So no, it was all good. It's a shame he didn't get the result. I know how he feels. It's a fantastic, very challenging track here. Great crowd. Just need to put some passing places in, you know. But I think everybody was definitely challenged out there today, just hanging on the cars, and that's the way we like it.
Yeah, I would say so. Dario Franchitti with a 4th place finish here.
And his teammate Scott Dixon comes in right behind him in 5th, maintains the 3rd place spot in the championship. After starting 10th, qualifying did not go the way that you wanted. Does 5th seem not too bad considering?
Yeah, you know, qualifying was a bit bizarre for us. We were quickest in Q1 and then put the 2nd set of tyres on and just couldn't go anywhere. So, you know, we had to start a little ways back. We went off strategy almost immediately. I think we pitted around lap 10 or 12 and was hoping for a yellow, but that didn't come. So we slipped back even further, went off strategy because we were so far off to start with, and caught, you know, that caution. Obviously, we got caught up in that crash and going to the back with 2 flat tires, it was just a day where you're kind of going backwards and forwards and all over the show. But I got to say, thanks to all the fans. It was for Baltimore's first event. It was fantastic. The crowd here are unbelievable, and it's good to see the support here.
Yeah, you were a little bit busy over the weekend, but I had a chance on Friday to walk around, and that's just, it's very nice to see so many people out here that are getting a chance to taste this sport.
It's cool, man. And you got to hand it to the promoters and the city of Baltimore. They did a hell of a job. It's always difficult the first time round. There's definitely areas that we can improve on the track for next year, so we can open up some more passing zones for the fans to watch. But they did it firsthand. They had concerts here. They had action for everybody, and it's a lot of fun. So thanks to Team Target and everybody in Baltimore.
Pretty good run for Scott Dixon, caught up in the melee. 2 flat tires that had him limping on the pit road, but he still comes home in 5th. Marty?
Well, Kevin, the numbers show that Ryan Briscoe finished 14th. The car way better than that. Obviously, the penalty early in the race, Ryan, or at that restart there. Your take on that, was it a fair penalty?
I don't think the penalty fits the crime, but pretty dejected feeling at the moment. But, we had a great car.
You haven't seen it yet. Here it is.
But, we were going down into turn 3 and Hunter Ray was blocking me. And then he opened it back up. But I was just coming in a bit hot because I had open track when he blocked, so I was going to come down on his outside. And then he came back to my line of the track. So I hit his rear wheel. It wasn't intentional, but it wouldn't have happened if he didn't block me and then change lanes twice and come back to the outside. So disappointing. I'm sorry about the pile-up that it caused as well behind, but tough track, really physical out there today. The car was strong and just disappointed about the result, but my head's already in next year's car, to tell you the truth.
You really don't think, though, that penalties should be based off what maybe happened between you two earlier in the year, do you?
When you ran up my backside? I mean, you don't dish out penalties based on grudges, that's for sure. Obviously, they would have given the penalty to me based upon what they thought happened in the race, and my front did hit his rear, but it was circumstantial. It's a tough penalty, it's a really tough penalty. It ruined our race, but I'm not in the fight for the championship, and penalties are more freely given out to guys that aren't really running for the championship, so we'll take it.
All right, there's Ryan Briscoe's take. He felt like there was a little blocking before that incident. Kevin, what's Ryan Hunter-Ray say?
Yeah, let's hear the other side of the story. Ryan Briscoe says that you may have been blocking a little bit going into that corner, and he doesn't really think a penalty was needed there. What say you?
Well, if he watches the replay, he'll see that there's completely a lane in there. I have a car in front of me, Dario, and I'm going to show him my nose, and Briscoe just took me out, I think I owe him that's why they call him Briscoe thing from earlier in the year, but it's a shame. We had a good run going. Yeah, as you can see, there's more than 2 car widths inside. If that's blocking, I don't know. So yeah, he dumped me, and we just fought back to an 8th. Guys had to change the suspension for it, but it did a great job, The guys did a great job. We ran around past quite a few cars and finished the day 8th. We could have finished further up there, but it's unfortunate. But what are you going to do? Go on to Motegi. We had a great time here in Baltimore. Hopefully we'll be back here many years to come. Get rid of that chicane. We'll have a whole lot more passing, I think.
Yeah, people talked about making a few tweaks, but all in all, the reviews are very solid for Baltimore. Lindy?
Simona Di Silvestro barely made it out of that crash. How did you do that?
All of a sudden it was like Hunter-Ray spun right in front of me, so I got stuck. But he luckily just took off, so I was really lucky on that part. I thought really that was our race, but maybe it would have been lucky for us if I would have gotten stuck, because maybe we would have pitted on the yellow and would have ended up a little bit more up front. But really happy with the car. It was good. Unfortunately, the result isn't what we wanted, but it was great racing here in Baltimore, and everybody from Nuclear Clean Energy was here. So, and they kind of seemed to bring me good luck because they were all in same P2. So I think they have to come a little more often.
As far as strategy goes, was staying with the leaders the right call, you think?
No, I don't think so, because if we would have pitted, I think we could have had a really good finish. We ran like 4th almost all race, that second stretch of the race, and we were pretty quick. We couldn't quite keep up with Dario and Will, but staying there was really good. We made some positions on the track, so that was really cool for us.
So we're only about 30 minutes from D.C. Or you want to go back there to the airport?
Not really. I think I'm going to choose a new airport to fly in when I come from Europe.
I hear you. So a 12th place finish, which she's not too happy with today. Back to you, Bob.
Got a good run, though. Simona de Silvestro finishes in 11th position. We have time to talk with more drivers. We'll do that when we return to Baltimore, where Will Power has won the inaugural Baltimore Grand Prix for the IZOD IndyCar Series. Massive crowd begins to head home after seeing the first Baltimore Grand Prix, which Will Power won. And here are the unofficial results. Oriol Servia about 10 seconds behind Will at the drop of the checkered flag. Tony Kanaan from almost last to first. Then Dario Franchitti, Scott Dixon, Alex Tagliani finishes third. Not sure whether Danica Patrick or Ryan Hunter-Reay will finish seventh. They're disputing that, or at least looking it over. Vitor Meira ninth, and Graham Rahal will finish in 10th position. Oriol Servia equals his best finish this season. TK had his third podium finish of the year. There were 16 cars on the lead lap when the checkered flag dropped. 3 were 1 lap down. All right, let's go to Kevin Lee.
A top 10 finish for Vitor Meira. We're going to let him sit because I think you put in a full day's work today. Take the rest of the day off. How did it go out there?
I think everybody did put a full day. Very tough out there, but I think ABC Supply Racing and AJ Foyt, we had a good car. We got caught up on that one time that everybody stopped on the hairpin. Broke the front wing, changed the wing, then came in the pits again. So from that point on, we had to pass a lot of cars and save a lot of fuel. But coming off of Sonoma, we had a pretty rough day there. And it's good to come back at top 10, solid car, solid weekend. Now off to Japan and for the last race of the championship, pick up more points.
You okay with the course?
I'm very okay with the course. Promoters, everybody, the fans did a phenomenal job coming from Thursday on. Track is awesome. I do next year gonna take a little bit more caster off the car. a little tough, but a very good weekend, and can't wait to get to the next one.
All right, Vitor Meira, 9th today. Marty?
Kevin, when Martin Plowman and I talked this morning, he said, I have no idea what to expect today. But I tell you what, just a handful of races for you. You finished 12th last week at Infineon, 11th this week. How'd you come up with that 11th place finish?
I think the key for this race was just to stay out of trouble. I mean, we know coming into this race, we made a big change overnight. Both Tag and I were really struggling with speed this weekend, and we made a pretty radical change, went back to basics, and I think it paid off. Going down into turn 3 there, we just saw a big melee happen, and but for the grace of God, I just saw a hole and I went for it, and I somehow came out unscathed.
Yeah, check this out, this replay. We didn't know you had an off-road truck today. You got all 4 wheels. Look at this, all 4 wheels off the ground. That's impressive.
I think I can do better than that, actually.
You can do better than that? I want to see that.
Hopefully next year I needed someone to come up with a sponsorship for next year and give me a full-time ride, and I'll try and get even higher next time.
Well, let's talk about it real quick. This is your last race of the year, so when will we see you next, and how is that going to come about?
Right now, I'm back to being unemployed for the rest of the off-season. We'd love to do Vegas, which we're still speaking with some companies to do that, but at this time, it's extremely unlikely. There's a lot of good things in the pipeline for next year, but right now, we're still at stage 1. And hopefully I'll have a better idea come November and December, but just to do these 3 races, I mean, I'm truly blessed. And I thank God that I have this opportunity to do these 3 races. And I want to thank the support of Advantica. There's 20, 30 other guys here today from Advantica Benefits. And we also have 3 Snowball Express families. Of course, Snowball Express is a charity that I'm supporting, and there are a lot of organizations and companies that enable me to run the Snowball Express logo, and we are hosting them this weekend. They're the families of fallen military heroes, so we're proud to have them as my guests this weekend.
An impressive showing in just a handful of races for Martin Plowman. Lindy.
J.R. Hildebrandt's car was hooked up. He was feeling good, pulling away from Ryan Briscoe, and then comes turn 8 with a couple laps to go. What went wrong?
Yeah, you know, I was keeping Briscoe at bay, and we were having a pretty good day at that point. I locked up the rears and couldn't get the downshifts done into turn 1, so actually you had the car parked there. He got by. coming around the rest of the lap, everything felt okay. Came by the pit straight here, went down into turn 8, turned in, and just, couldn't get the car to turn. So I must have, just picked up some clag on the left front or something like that, and couldn't get it through the corner, hit the wall. So just really bummed for the guys. They've worked super hard. We've overcome a lot this weekend so far, and it's just a bummer for the National Guard crew. We've got a lot of people out here this weekend, and we know that they were pulling for us. So we'll turn around next time around.
And because Hinchcliffe left the race, J.R. Hildebrand remains 3 points ahead in the Rookie of the Year standings, Bob.
All right, J.R. Hildebrand finishes in 19th position. The pit performers of the day, Will Power's team, spending a total of just 46.328 seconds on pit road. The Firestone pit performers are Will Power's team. All right, the next race, the Indy 300, Saturday at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time from Motegi. It was supposed to be an oval, but they will race on the road course because of the earthquake a few months ago. We would like to thank the city of Baltimore for their hospitality. Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake. Actually, the idea for this race was hatched back in 2008, and Baltimore Racing Development was formed with 29 owners, and they pulled this thing off, and they did it very, very impressively. Thank you to everybody in Baltimore, and especially the race fans who came here this afternoon.
First-time events, Bob, of course, are always a huge challenge. You heard the drivers. They all echoed the same thing. Job well done.
I do agree. I love street course racing, and this was a very impressive turnout today, all weekend.
It really was, and now with only 3 more races to go in the championship, Japan, Kentucky, and the World Championship in Las Vegas, Nevada. Well, next Saturday, college football returns to Versus starting at 3:30 with TCU at Air Force, followed by Utah at USC at 7:30. Be sure to join us in 2 weeks, Saturday, September 17th at 11:30 p.m. Eastern for the Indy Japan 300. IZOD, the official apparel of the IZOD IndyCar Series, available at Macy's. For more information on the IZOD IndyCar Series, log on to NBCSports.com. Congratulations to Will Power, winner of the inaugural Baltimore Grand Prix. For Jan Vikas, Wally Dallenbach, Kevin Lee, Marty Snyder, Lindy Thaxton, and Robin Miller, I'm Bob Jenkins. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on September the 17th for the Indy Japan 300.